guess it's 1 o'clock.
Good idea, became that.
Everybody leads the flag or not. This is a committee meeting, budget committee meeting. And we're ready to start.
Yeah, I'm smart enough to give me 2 calculators.
They're
Dumb enough they gave me 2 calculators, I don't know.
Well, that's the matter, here's why we're gonna start.
Are these two different?
Nope, it should be the same.
Okay.
18-19 budget.
We can get this over with. I move we don't give Pam Kelly any money this year.
Okay, Pam. You're
All right,
Okay.
let me get mine.
Nope, that's too much.
One of the things that I was asking this year of the county is if the county would be willing to take on the telephone line item. And my reason for that is statutorily, the counties are supposed to provide the capital, space costs, fringe benefits, clerical costs, equipment, telecommunications, postings, commodities, and printing. The main reason is our fee collections that we survive on, outside of the salaries, is decreasing, and it has been for the last couple of years. Oh, just a sec, I grabbed some notes. And that's because our caseload has decreased drastically in the last 2 years, and if our caseload's decreasing, then the fees assessed are decreasing, and the amount collected has been decreasing. We had, in 2015 and 2016, over 200 cases that we could assess fees for, and that's the lifeblood of all our expenses. Then in 2017, it dropped to 171, and we're only at currently right now this year at 141. So we're trying not to spend more fees per year than we collect. I hope it doesn't keep dropping. My understanding is that we are starting to see an uptick in cases being placed on supervision or probation. So I'm hopeful that'll continue. So I just thought if we could, this year, I think we should be okay as far as the amount of, we're not even on, let me back up, we're not even on target to collect the 16,200 we estimated this year, based on our current collection rates. So that's why I decreased the amount of fees that we anticipate collecting next year. And I'm trying to keep the expenses to what we're collecting. You know, in the event one day we'll have to purchase a car at some point down the road, and all of that money from that purchase of the car would come out of fees that we have in our account. But I'm trying to keep the expenses and the collections the same. Hopefully we'll continue to rise on the uptick, but I just thought maybe we can move a small amount of expense that would, you know, give any kind of leeway at this point.
Okay, so you wanna increase the telephone?
Yes.
And the circuit court.
And I just want, yes, I was asking if our telephone line item might move to the circuit courts, and I will tell you over the last couple of years, it's been $738, and this year, that was last year, and this year it's $444, so it's probably still going to hover around $700.
But in probation, you wanna decrease, take the phone tone out of probation budget and put it in the circuit court budget?
That's what I'm asking, taking it out of probation fees expense and moving it to the, like, the county's, the circuit court portion.
Okay.
It's gonna be the same amount of dollars, basically.
Just in a different fund.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Now, did Coles County help with this a little bit?
And which one is that?
the telephone?
I will, yes, before we started, we covered everything until we had been receiving and collecting enough fees. Then we became sustainable down here in Cumberland County with our fees.
Mhm.
Well, you said your caseload was dropping. I'd like to see you out of a job, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Yes,
Because there's
and
not,
that would be the ideal.
that would be the ideal, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're wanting an increase from last year of,
We have budgeted, and I just put $1,000, as I said, last year, our telephone expense was only $738. So that's, I just had proposed that $1,000 in a telephone line item for next year. It seems like the phones are consistent.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not like office supplies or something like that, so.
Not like you won't spend it. If you don't pay, get $730.
Put your fees in your probation and court services fund. Those fees are what, you said?
Pardon me?
Those fees are going up in the probation and court services fund?
Ours have, if you're asking yearly collections, they have decreased. This year, they have decreased. Hold on, let me get mine here.
Nah, your fees have increased from 500 to 1,500 is what we're looking at. But they've decreased from the prior year.
In 2015, we collected 22,000. In 2016, we collected 18,700. 2017, the final budget was 19,400. I'm sorry, that was
So I'm looking at a different place somewhere.
up here under, it's Fund 070. And so it was 22,000, 18,703, 17,204. And this year, we are concerned that we're not even gonna meet the 16,200 that we budgeted. So we went from 22,000 in 2015, somewhere around 16,000 a year in collections.
We only have, what, 4 more months or something?
Yeah. And we're at 7,488.
Okay. So you're requesting 15,000, you're estimating 15,000 probation fees.
We estimate,
Yeah.
this for next year, for
Next
19, that we're just gonna estimate 15,000. We hope we surpass that.
Yeah, you may not
Yeah.
even get there. Okay. So in your expenses and the probation is about the same, basically the same.
Yes,
Total of
yes, we're
14,000.
keeping that, we're
Mhm.
just asking, we just had moved a couple of things around,
Mhm. Okay.
yeah.
That fund that's up there,
Just moving it.
just moving. And is this a different fund, the probation and court services fund? Is that a different fund?
Well, it's the courts, the 07, I keep flipping.
071.
The 071.
The 071 is, well, I'm proposing to move it to the circuits, the 011, which is like your county general fund, the circuit court side, from probation fees.
Where you lost me there, which account you in?
I'm in the account 011. Where we're-
Okay, I got it. So now I'm going to go account.
But we just, adding the telephone expense
Oh,
into
okay.
that account.
Okay, that's no problem.
So just change, just move.
Fund, the others are special funds, that's why she's.
Yeah,
Oh, you're moving out of that.
yes. So just, we were paying it with probation fees that are no tied to the county's money, and I'm asking that the county now would have that cost.
Okay.
That's why it impacts, yes, the
I
county.
got you. Okay.
So it's $1,000 cost to the county versus the youth
Yes,
probation.
yes. And that, and again, I'm only asking that because I'm concerned with the downtrend in our fees. And that's how we support our office is with the fees.
Okay. Don't have a problem with that. Anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
All right. That it?
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Pam.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Appreciate your time.
All right. Rhonda Wilson's not here.
Not yet.
Donna Olmsted, you ready?
I've already gone over yours, so I vote no.
Donna Olmsted, look at here.
Page 11.
911 basically, right?
Yep.
The only funds you've got's 911? All righty. Budget from last year's budget, your income is gonna be less of $14,000 less. Your expenses are gonna be, a big change, right? You had all that new equipment in there, right? Mhm. Have you talked this at your 911 meeting, Ron?
Yeah.
They've approved this budget?
Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as Donna's not changed it here on anything. But I think, if I remember right, it ended up positive budget, didn't it, by 2,000 or something like that.
1,150.
Positive budget, okay, last year we bought all that equipment on last year's budget,
Mhm.
so that's the issue, you didn't buy any equipment, so you're gonna, you come up with positive budget. Gotcha. Mhm.
Total expense, 10,000, 124,000 revenue, is that what you're saying? 124,100 revenue and then 122,950 expenses.
Right.
We have a little problem, and it's the same here. The state is, what, 4 months behind or 6 months behind or something like this on their payments, and you just don't know whether you're gonna get the payments or not.
You see, they did that increase at starting January, but since they're so far behind, we didn't start seeing a little bit of that until June of this year.
And they're charging to
Yep.
handle the money now.
And then after 18 months, it gets taken down again for us.
It's gonna go down again in 18 months.
And it's best to,
They are handling the money now, is that working out okay?
I'm sorry?
They're handling the money now, you said?
Yes.
Is that working okay?
Seems to be.
So far, yeah.
it gives us less money though.
Yeah, it does.
They're taking a charge out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's
well,
miscellaneous expenses, what do you, or income, what do you get from that?
Miscellaneous income,
Mm-hmm.
that's if I have to charge a lawyer from out of state or somewhere to do a recording for 911 and stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha. And if you get any of those, it looks like.
No, we don't get that.
alrighty. You got a problem with it? I don't have a problem.
I've already been over it, so.
Okay, Donna, good enough.
All right, thank you very much.
Mhm.
We like quick.
Okay, dwell and flood?
Wait a minute, that might be Rhonda's son. No, go ahead.
Come here.
Go ahead. Joelle, we got you up here.
Okay.
Come here, Joel.
I was just trying to give you a hard
Doesn't
time.
matter.
No, it doesn't.
County treasurer, where's your income at, Joel?
I don't have many.
That keeps it simple. You tell us that story every year, you know that.
I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Current budget. General fund, basically the same dollars. $1,000 less, I guess.
That would be Jenny's salary.
Their salary, okay. Mm-hmm. Yep, salary, a little higher. Okay, tax sale. Basically the same. Payment to the general fund. What's that for? Why they have a payment to the general fund?
That's a tax sale indemnity that I have to move every year. Anything over $50,000 has to go into general fund. It's money we collect on my tax sale per parcel, like they have to pay $20 to it, so after so long, then anything over $50,000.
Do we have that many tax sales?
We have one tax sale a year.
I mean,
Parcels,
$50,000 worth of it?
No, we have, that's what we keep in the fund. That's what we keep in, and then anything over that, in tax sale indemnity fund, and anything over the 50,000, we have to transfer to general fund.
Okay.
So once a year, I transfer the money over.
I thought you were saying that we sold enough property or
No,
whatever
no,
to bring in $50,000, and that was,
no.
All right, that's no big deal. Same as last year. Then we got the sale and error account. Basically no change. Interest is on it, basically. Income and expenses is the same. Okay, then the county treasurer's automation fund.
Yep.
Very close to the same. On income. Expenses exactly the same. Then the revolving account, income's exactly the same. Expenses are very close to the same.
with the revolving account, so we budgeted 1,000, don't have anything?
Say what now?
731-000-3200, it says revolving account, current budget 1,000, current actual 0.
We didn't receive no another 1,000 income.
We, I put bringing in, we was charging 20% per parcel. When we started this revolving account, when we started with Joseph Myers, we took 20% per parcel when a parcel was redeemed. 20% of that went into this revolving account instead of going to the taxpayers. And you can do that by statute to build this fund up. Well, we got the fund built up, so I stopped. So we're not taking any out right now. And I think starting next year, I'm just gonna do a flat like 5% to keep it consistent, because we didn't know what to do when we started. So that way it would be done with everyone from here on out, just keep it at 5% when somebody needs. I didn't wanna put money in there if we didn't need it, so I just stopped. Because that's, I mean, I use it for postage and for certifieds is what it's used for.
How much is in that account?
Just 1,000 something. I mean, it's not a money, I mean, it's just to pay for your postage and certifieds. And you're not doing it to make money. You
So
just-
does it go in and go out, is that what?
Yes, yes. But we had to get it built up, so we had something in there.
We didn't collect anything all year from that
No,
account?
I did not.
Okay, other than the expense line was,
But you think you'll, I'll go back to, it. You think you'll collect them next year?
Yes, I'm gonna collect, no, I'm gonna collect a lower percentage
5%, yeah.
and keep it steady, and instead of up and down, you know, just kinda
No, if, you know, the people in this room other than me come in and do something, charge them 20%. I'll do the 5%.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay,
All right,
Pretty
expenses,
cut and dry.
all right. Anybody have a problem?
you're increasing your postage, publications, and miscellaneous expenses by 9%. The rest of it's pretty well zeros.
I mean, that's a special account, and it's like I said, it's just a wash, it's just in and out.
All righty.
That's all I zero. Stuff and everything else on the rest of it. Okay.
All righty, Joel, no problem.
Okay.
Oh, let's see.
Ms. Wilson,
Rhonda Wilson,
I'm sorry, I was gonna be here earlier, but.
reddish blonde hair.
phone call, right? Your husband call you? Okay,
This is good.
go ahead. Where we at, Rhonda?
Page 4.
Okay.
Right after one tap, it says Rondo Wilson.
So you're estimating your fees to be the same this year?
I have no true
Clue.
clue. Because fines and fees, I don't know that it's been signed yet, but fines and fees are probably gonna change again and come July 1st of 2019. It's gonna be a more standardized way of breaking them down across the state. It's a new statute that's going to change how we collect it. It's gonna change how I disperse it, and it's going to affect even the county treasurer that will be then doing some of the, getting more of the money and putting it where it needs to be, but it's gonna just change.
You don't think it'll go up or go down?
Well, it may actually improve in my case because I only have, like, say, document storage and automation is currently set at $15 per case, and the new statute sets that at 20, so that will help a little bit to kind of offset any other changes that we may have. So after this next year, we may have a more standardized, flow and kind of know what it's gonna be. Of course, it's always gonna fluctuate by the amount of cases, but you can kind of get a better guesstimate after we get that rolling. So,
You're guessing traffic fines will go down this year?
they did go down this year.
Yeah, you've only collected 37,000
Well,
basically.
that's, the collected and filed is two different things. We've got the number that you have filed, which is down, and the collected could have a lot of variables as to why that's up. Like 1 year it went up because I had a new collections company, and so we were able, they actually got more collections than the previous one did and so forth.
You got a bunch of money there for a year or two out of that new company.
And we're still getting a decent amount. And I did sign up for the Illinois Debt Recovery Program through the Comptroller's Office, which is another account that I have to manage, but it does generate a little bit more. Anything that comes from the state, if you get a state check, you work for an institution paid through the state, you get tax money back, and you have something setting out there, they'll send the checks to the circuit clerk, so I signed up for that program too.
Okay, that's the income, should be down a little bit, you think, 15,000 less. And expenses in the clerk's office should be up about 35,000. Okay, that's from that new.
Yes, 35,000 was the new imaging, that's the total, we're still paying, we'll have, I think, one more year maybe on that. Had to pay a certain percentage of it down, and then you pay 418 something a month until the remainder of it is paid off, and so I think I have one more year. And all of that come out of the specialty accounts that I have.
Came out of the specialty account. What's this maintenance expense of $11,000?
That is, and if you looked at the other ones that I gave you, I broke everything down. They were the color-coded ones that I supplied when we had the first meeting that looked like this. Did you get those?
Mhm.
Those actually had the breakdowns of everything that, when it says how much, then it goes further on to break it down as to, what it's actually going to, what person is getting it. So you're looking at probably, is it 0834495?
Mhm.
Okay, so PC Jim's imaging is 3,200. IT contract with Team Technology for my IT support, and for my Watts Coffee contract. Those are all maintenance on the, either maintenance that I have to support my IT, or my maintenance and annual contracts for the imaging and so forth. That's what that is. So it's something I have to pay. It's kind of like what they pay for their computer software maintenance. That's annex.
And the salaries, is that one person the first line and two people the second line, or?
Those are different than what I submitted the last time, if you're going by the ones that Bev just had.
Yeah, one's
So I
at
have the-
10%, one at 35%.
Yes, one of them does include an addition of possibly a 2-day-a-week, which is, I think, 80, I have it written on there, hold on. Let me get to that page wrong. I increased it by 8580 on that second line, which includes, I think it says clerk and secretary in yours.
Mhm.
That's the only change from the previous budget that I did. I was hoping to possibly add a couple days of some help to kind of catch some of this stuff up that we talked about at the last meeting, to get up to date on everything that we're supposed to have accomplished. So I did add that 2 days a week staff. So that's 8580. So if you take the 8580 off of there, it should match exactly the budget that we talked about in the pre-budget.
It's on the circuit clerk's budget, right?
It is,
Oh,
yes, under salary.
Okay, I got you, okay. You got $15,000.
So I have
Part of
you-
that's for part-time help,
you
and that's
sh-
just for an increase in salary.
Well, yes, I have you have me, and then you have my chief deputy, and then you have 2 employees.
Gotcha.
So that would be almost a 2.5 employees now.
Okay.
And I followed the same percent raise that the union, that you guys set for the union. So
Okay.
that's what that increase is.
And that's 80-some hundred, you say?
8580.
Yeah. I was really hoping for 3, but I put 2 on there. 3 would increase it to 12,870.
Okay, any comments on that account? These others are special accounts after that. Any changes in or major difference? Child support maintenance. Went down a bunch on income. No, wait, yeah, that's it.
What happened there is when I first started and I came in, we have a stack about this thick. And so what I did was I used a search program and tried to locate some of those people, get that stuff updated and get the newest contacts. And basically I played collector and I did that by hand and went through and tried to reach some of the people that had not been getting their annual invoices. So I did get some of them reached. I can turn those over to collections, but it's not integrated with our system, so it's really not a big help to turn those over. But if I had some extra staff, I'd really like to utilize them to try to track that and get that worked out. We send out annual invoices. We get $36 a year for child support and maintenance. That's to help keep all of our system that runs that going, but it's not very much.
You budget 6,000, but you only actually received so far this year 2,300.
And we had gotten 62 or so a couple years prior to
Did you?
that. So we had been maintaining it, but of course after that one influx, after I kind of did a little bit more legwork, then that may.
Level off.
So I also took I think I took the salary portion of it down to,
Okay, yeah, last year you budgeted 6,000 for salary. This year you budgeted 2,000 for that. So you took 4,000 off
So
salary.
what I'd like for it to be is basically to be a wash.
That's
Try to
what I-
match them
That
as
is
best we
about a wash.
can.
Okay. Next account is circuit clerk operation administration.
What number is that?
82, 08, 082, 000, 3272. 082 is the account.
Last year you
Is-
budgeted 2,200 for income. This year, no income at all from that.
That was carryover.
That was carryover. Basically, last year I tried
Right.
to budget that 30, or that money that we were gonna
Yeah,
spend. I
you
was
were-
trying to take that to make the budget not
Trying to get us down to zero.
Yeah.
Okay. Operation management.
And you mentioned it at the other meeting
They're about down to zero.
that you're down to zero and you're gonna need money, yeah.
Well, and basically what you see, that anything that's moved around it was coming out, either all or a high percentage of that was coming out of the specialty accounts. And so I tried to be fair in, like, I split the office supplies and put half of it under the county, but then left a half of it, under some of these, and hoping that the income revenue is a wash with that, because I'd like to keep at least a minimum of 30,000 in those backup accounts, because if our AS 400 goes down, that's about what it's gonna cost me. So I need that.
You've got 30,000 in those accounts combined? You
Not right
don't.
now,
You
I'm
don't.
still building them.
Okay, that's your goal. I see. That's it.
That's my goal, is to maintain a minimum of that.
Okay. Okay, the expenses in that account are offset about the same amount. Last year you budgeted 2,600 for expenses, this year budget is 400. I mean,
Because I have purchases.
offset. Circuit electronic citation.
Once we go electronic citation, that's where that money has to go, it can't go anywhere else.
It has to go there.
The sheriff's department, the documents are gonna be citation, something, or something he wrote. But those can only be used for electronic citation, purchases. So like if we went digital, that would be helpful for my end.
All right. How many accounts have you got?
A gazillion.
Way too
Document
many.
Storage. Budget for $4,000 less this year, income.
And like I said, that may,
Balance.
that may be under. I'm just not sure if they're gonna sign this new, they sign this new statute in, then that may be higher than the budget.
It might be higher for income. Okay. Then your storage expenses, took some salaries out of that. Actually, you did take
I
extra.
did not this time,
Not this year, you did not.
no, I did not. I had taken 1,000 out in the past,
Mhm.
and I didn't.
So total wise, you took 5,000 less out of expenses this year than last year.
Because a lot of that was the office supplies. When you look at that, again, that breakdown that I had, that was in the color-coded one, we're in document storage. The court files and the envelopes, court cards, we pay for court cards for the defendants to have, and the court files are the only two things that I really put under that, more court-related. I did try to keep half of that in the document storage to kind of even it out, not for all 6,000, because that's about what it runs, about 5,000 to 6,000 a year to keep all of that. Once it goes electronic, I'm hoping that goes down, but right now.
You're hoping to save some of that 5,000 by electronic.
So in the past, you've taken salaries out of it.
I took 1,000, out of document storage, I took 1,000 out in salary, and I took, all 6,000 of the office supplies was all taken out of document storage, and now I only take a portion of that
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's,
out, and I put some of the other stuff back on the county line. There was a county line already there that wasn't created, so it was there at some point, but I'm sure after the document storage accounts got filled up and they were able to use them and use them, so I'm gonna pay for the court files and the court stuff, but maybe pins and scissors and whatever.
Okay. that account approval. Cancels it. Okay, one more account, circuit clerk automation. You had budgeting less income for this year, $4,000.
Document storage and automation match, okay, so it's 15 for one and 15 for the other, so they're almost the exact same every year.
What was that again?
Document storage and automation, those two things, when a case comes in, they're both $15
Oh,
for
okay,
each, so
gotcha,
they're pretty
gotcha,
close.
Gotcha. Okay. And your expenses are like $10,000 less this year? Okay. All right. Any comments on any of those accounts? I got a comment on the circuit on your, me and Bev were looking at the budget from 4 or 5 years ago. Back then, the circuit clerk made us $90,000 a year. And it keeps going down. Part of the reason for less fees, less tickets,
And I can print you reports for every year that shows you what the revenue is, because I really don't control the revenue. The revenue is based on, number of tickets, the types of cases. So you can't base it on the cases filed necessarily either, because if you look at the cases filed report currently, because I just turned in my quarterly reports, the percentage of cases filed versus cases, like if we filed, say, 85 felony charges, the revenue to my office is, if those are convicted, is gonna be higher versus if those are not convicted, if they're dismissed, if they're lowered, if they're whatever. So that's what drives the revenue. How many convictions do we have? How many tickets and citations are written? And I have those numbers, and they're not what they were before. Not that I'm saying that's a good or bad thing, I'm just saying
I
though.
don't know.
So, but if you wanna look at those reports, I do have all of those.
I got the budget here from 2016-17. I looked at it before I come, with the traffic fines.
Because the
for that.
lines, the revenue lines, I mean, each year when you look at your budgets across there, it has changed. And, you know, when I first started, we were off by how much? I think they had an ungodly amount of revenue projected, and it didn't even come close to that. And so then I started backing it back down on the budget to be more realistic as to what we have. So each year I say, okay, what do we get? Divide it by month. If I get an average of this many of this type of ticket, what do I think I'll generate?
There for a while,
So I don't think the revenue, sorry, Ron, I don't think the revenue actually was at 90,000. Unless it was was it 2010? I know there was a year there that our revenue was up because our traffic tickets were a significantly higher year, upwards of like 3,000 cases that year. So I can tell you if that was the year it was, that's why that was up.
Anyway, I know it has been, anyway, it's been down since several years. But yeah, that's bad for us making money, but probably maybe a good thing in the long run. But anyway, I just made a comment. No
Yeah.
say.
And I'd be glad to print, I mean, I can tell you reports as to why,
Don't make it.
what was down specifically.
Mhm.
well, I know that, you know, the state police have stopped picking up people in Cumberland County because we didn't prosecute them for quite a while. You know, we just let the cases go.
And I can't,
And that was before.
I can't really comment on that, it depends on what year. I can tell you, I can give you the percentages of convictions versus filed cases, but that's about the best I can do.
And hasn't, I've slept since some of the board meetings, but hasn't some of your fees that you can charge, haven't they gone down? And if someone's poor, you don't have to collect fees from them, but you still have to let them go, or?
They can file as an indigent. Anyone can come in and file as an indigent person, and then they have to be heard. If they, I mean, there's certain criteria that has to be met in order to file as an indigent. That's not something that's real common. I don't really have a whole lot of that. But, you know, the generators that come in that aren't driven by the cases that are filed, are like copies. Well, we're going electronic. I don't know how that's gonna work. passports, I'm still doing that, we still have them, it's very time consuming. Is it something that's my favorite thing? No, but it is a service for the community, so we still do that. So there's a few other things that are above and beyond, you know, case driven, but 90% of it only is case driven.
Any other comments? Okay, well, then that
Okay,
should be all, I
Thanks,
think.
guys.
Mhm. Okay. Next one up is Mackenzie, is that right? Mackenzie?
Really been hard this year.
Yeah, go easy, you guys.
Hey, you know what?
The council you have. Here, so,
GIS and then,
let's start with GIS, I guess. Okay, you're budgeting the same amount of income from clerk fees this year as last year. GIS copies are just a little less, $500 less.
yeah,
Interest is a little more, so. Basically, your income is the same as last year. Basically the same. Expenses. Let's see, salary, clerk salary stayed about the same. Aerial mapping, GIS, took less expenses this year.
for that one, yeah, that's the one we typically paid Bruce Harris out of monthly. So we won't have that next year, but we just have a couple annual things with Sidwell, that'll be less.
Okay. Oh, it'll be less coming out of the aerial mapping account. Okay. So that'll be less next year.
Yes,
Okay. And then your big item is the equipment purchase.
yes,
$60-some thousand you purchased that new Sidwell.
yes, so we pay them as they complete the certain steps. So like they did our flyover, so we pay them for that, just as they install different software and go through we pay them as it's completed. So that's an estimate of what we have left to pay.
Left to pay
Yeah.
in this year.
Yeah.
And then will that be totally paid then?
Yes,
It'll be totally paid then for a while.
We still have 56,000, so percent.
yeah, it was roughly 98,000, and we paid them roughly 30, so.
This account, you've always had cover the money.
And there's $140,000.
Still got that in there, 140?
Yeah, it was like 160, but we're still.
You take some salary out of there, do you? Not much.
Yes, our GIS clerk, Mike Wade,
Not good,
Yeah.
that's all.
yes.
We've always talked about this before, how you get money out of that account. Most of our assessors have said there's not much way to get money out of there,
Yeah, you can't.
not for salary, I mean.
Yeah, it would have to be GIS.
It has to be GIS only, or,
Which,
Or
yeah,
you
that's
put
what
a
Mike does,
percentage.
is he only does GIS mapping.
Okay. Good. All right, no comment on that. Board review. Like the same as last year, right?
Yes. Yeah, no changes for that one.
Changes, all right, should work. Now the assessor's account. What we got here? Income, salaries, same. Contracts for income. Figure another $5,000 from last year.
Yeah, we changed Spring Point's contract with us, that's what that is,
That's-
our intergovernmental agreements with the townships
The
for assessing.
townships. So
Yeah.
you're total, figure on total 22,000 this year compared to last year, 16.
Yeah.
Okay. And miscellaneous income is about the same, all right. Okay. And the expenses. Oh, what do you do? Deputy salary's up just a fraction. Clerk salary's up $1,000. Assistant salary's up $2,400. 24,000, sorry.
That's that line item that was taken out last time.
You put them back in?
much, okay, actually, we took
Which
out
it'll
both
actually
positions.
it'll actually be 22,050, the same as this other one now.
That was a position we cut last year.
Yeah, the extra field help that we had, that actually was had 3 or 4 girls that went out.
We cut that out of
And
the
that's
budget.
what we hired Dawn to do this year.
Cut that out of the budget, and then we come back and amended the budget, right?
Yeah, we're gonna amend it.
How
Yeah.
much do we put in that when we amended?
We haven't amended it yet.
We haven't yet,
Mm-mm.
okay. Do you know how much we said we was gonna put in, or don't you know, or what will it be?
We talked about, we estimated between 8 and 10, didn't we? That sounds right.
Okay. So this year you wanna add 24 instead of 8 or 10, right?
Rhonda and I talked about splitting a part-time person, because I know she needs extra help. So
You need some more help besides Dawn?
ideally, we have a lot to do.
You got Brenda in there some, right? Or have you
No.
used her?
Yeah, we don't have Brenda anymore.
I took her.
She's with Joellen. She's preparing for maternity leave.
She's drowning.
Yes, I am going to be.
No, I said Brenda, she's supposed to be floating, see, she's drowning.
She's floating already. She was floating, she's bound.
Yeah,
I see, so.
Brenda does a good job in there, and she should be, take over the treasurer's office.
she'd probably disagree, wouldn't she?
I see, so you think, yeah, okay, so you and Rhonda's talking about hiring someone part-time, I see.
Yeah, if that would, and then we'd split so they'd maybe work 2 days in her office and 3 days. And basically, I just need someone to go out and assess in the field.
With Dawn's working there, you
Yes.
also want someone besides her?
Yes, that way the girl, because I don't want to send anybody out by themselves.
That's fine.
So that would, the way Courtney and Sandy could stay in the office and do their daily work.
Courtney's going out now with,
Yes.
with Dawn
Yeah.
part-time, and they're doing all right, no problem with that,
Yeah,
so.
but this year, we're not gonna get everything, all the townships done, so we're gonna try to do 2 a year going forward.
Okay, I was hoping we'd buy a little less, whatever. Alrighty, go on down the line, basically all about the same.
Yeah,
Bottom line is, last year you budgeted 120,000, this year you budgeted 145,000. Basically, that 24,000 is the main difference.
mhm.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Well, the 24,000, that, I'll go back to the assistant salary, that's a full-time position then?
No,
Well, yeah, but
Two
you said that
part-time.
you were.
that'd be, yeah, 2 part-time people.
Our only,
And-
our only concern with it is, I'm non-union, and I did ask the state's attorney, and he hasn't gotten back to me.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, how many days are you gonna want that person?
3,
You want them
And
3,
us,
and
it
you
would
want them
be-
2, so that would make them a full-time.
unless it would be better to do 2 and 2. I don't, yeah,
I think-
that's the question that we had, we weren't
My thought
sure.
process is, okay, if I'm looking for someone and I'm going to train them and I want, and I might utilize that person eventually as a full-time person, I'm gonna be looking for someone who's willing to invest time in learning. She said, you know, they can pick this up pretty
Yeah.
quickly, and some new person that comes in can pick that up pretty quickly. If at some point, then we want to hire someone, or hire that person into the chief deputy, into the civil clerk, when they're, you know, whatever, then they already have a little bit of experience under their belt, because normally the process is you start here, you move here, you move here. Well, this person may go all the way up and start doing criminal, and that's going to be nearly impossible to get that quickly. But it's gonna be hard to get somebody, I have 2 people that are very interested who have associate's degrees in business, who have certificates from Sparks Business College, and, you know, if I say, oh, could you just come to work for me for 2 days a week, and then if you could just hold out for, say, however long, maybe we'll have a full-time position. You know, we're both gonna benefit from this, and eventually then we can utilize that person that has some experience in the office.
The one thing that I see that's negative about one person in sharing would be all the benefits. When we're looking at health.
You're looking at paying them, yes,
Yeah.
but the benefit that we're gonna have is, we're gonna find somebody who is qualified for the position, but willing to do this for a part-time job while doing some of the work that's not the best, funnest work in my office. But if you hang out with us a little while and you give us a little time, you know, hang in there. It's only gonna be this, you know, for a while, but we've gotta have somebody to do this work.
You're gonna be losing people here
Yes, I am.
fairly quickly.
Yeah, she's trying to plan for the.
I'm trying to plan
Trying to
for
plan
the future.
for the future.
Yeah.
And if I mean, honestly, you're gonna be hard pressed to find somebody who wants to start at the pay we want to, that's been suggested to start them at, and not give them any benefits or anything at all to help draw them in. Because I've done an assessment of the county and where I can go to work, you know, and what I would start at if I was to go here versus here versus here versus here, and what benefit packages, and it's pretty hard to compete with it.
You're right.
So, I just think that makes it a little bit more inviting to someone who's looking for a position. And it's gonna benefit us in the long run. Me.
Yeah, you're just looking out for yourself.
Me, us.
You're just looking out for yourself
I'm willing
because
to take
this will
the
be
routine.
cross-trained and then you'll take it full-time, yeah, uh-huh.
That's all right.
Well, if that happens, they may be caught up more so at that time as well.
Yeah,
So they
yeah,
may
he
not,
may need less
they
help
may
at
not
that
warrant
point.
her.
We're hoping the
At that
assessor
point in
gets
time.
caught up in 2 years.
And you're
I'm
only,
hoping, I'm shooting for 4.
4 years.
There's a lot of stuff that's out there that's never been assessed. Most of these places haven't, no one's gone to them and, you know,
so there's gonna be a lot of new property coming onto the tax
Yes.
rolls.
yes.
We discussed that the other day about new property coming on the tax rolls. The truck stop's coming on this year.
I don't have the value yet.
Okay, so you guesstimated the value on that.
No. I just took what they already had for that estimated new property, what they've already got on the books.
Oh, okay, so that'll be.
So that's
more
not
than
on there yet.
Yeah, truck stops on there, but then,
Any guesses on what it
I don't know, I gotta make some phone calls.
Yeah.
Now, I have another question.
Uh-huh.
Businesses like that, farmland is only taxed or assessed at about 10% or less. Houses are assessed at 33 or 30%. What are businesses?
I think they're
33 or 30?
I could be wrong. It's all the same.
You're the expert, I'm not, I don't know diddly
The
squat.
computer does that part. No, I'm pretty sure that's right.
I was thinking it was from being, you know, playing superintendent back a long
Yeah.
time ago, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay, any other comments, Ron or anybody?
I say we don't give her anything.
Hey now,
So we need to see how legal.
I know her daddy and mommy.
Yes, and I tried to get that before I came over there.
yeah,
I'm
she said
sorry.
she talked to, yeah.
I didn't get an answer before I came over,
A
so.
full-time person, non-union and union,
What
Um,
constitutes full-time is how many hours they
I
work?
believe it says 30 hours.
Over 30 hours.
30 hours a week, I believe is what our handbook says constitutes.
But
30.
they don't have to join the union, do they?
But you can't force them to not join the union based on hire.
That is true, but if they can't, if they don't qualify, because she has to have a non-union.
Do they
You're-
base
you're
it
kinda-
on how
you're
many
kind of in
hours
a
are worked under
catch-22
the union
situation in
position
that
versus
respect,
a non-union?
because-
Does that matter?
What's that?
It's just full-time.
I just didn't know if they based it on the number of hours worked under the position of union versus non-union, like if she works 3 days over here, then, or he works 3 days over here. I don't know how those hours
Yeah.
work and what the legalities of
I
that.
think they have to contact Josh.
If
And-
you're hiring them full-time, they're either gonna have to be union or non-union.
Mhm.
It won't matter how you split them up, I
Okay.
don't think. What'd you say?
I was thinking,
I did see smoke coming out of those ears.
So if you hire a person part-time and she hires the same person part-time, you may be in trouble doing that.
That's a full-time.
Well, then, because you have, there are two positions in the same company, then they
Same
would be
company, huh?
considered full-time,
Uh,
because their
Yeah.
hours would make, you know,
okay.
make them full-time.
Same company, although they're two different offices.
That wasn't, when the last employee switched from the union to the non-union, that wasn't an issue. That didn't cause an
No.
issue. So if at some point that person does take a position, then that's not gonna be an issue. So I think the issue is whether they would be or would not be. And that's not for me to say whether they're going or not.
Your office has to be non-union, is that correct?
No.
They just
We
did
could-
not ever
We did not
form a union, did they?
Whenever
can-
that was an option, it was not chosen to become part of the union.
Yeah, I think they
That
can
was
join.
some time back.
Would
They
it be a
can.
different union though than
Yes,
what?
because I would be the one negotiating.
Because I was
That's
thinking
not a bad
Patty
idea.
said they would be a different total union than what this union is.
Really?
Yes.
I believe.
Because it falls under the judicial.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, see
So
what
we'll
you come up with. See what
And
you
I
come
don't
up with.
go there. Okay.
That's, any other questions, comments, otherwise Mackenzie, that's good enough.
Okay. Thank you.
As long as it's there, I say we just give it 0.
You beat me.
Brian.
Oh, Brian's not here.
It was like $34,000.
Dan Byron?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. All righty, where do we start? County Highway Fund? Start on income first, we're going backwards here somewhere, right?
Is there income
Do
on?
I?
Is there income on there?
Income, I saw the income, page 28, guys.
Whoops, my bad. I put it
Okay,
in
well-
there backwards.
We'll excuse you this time.
Okay. Income's all about the same.
%10 less.
It's more expensive, yeah. You look at the-
I got a question on income, Ben. You've got a $129,000 income from section 15, that's Center Line Road number. You had a budget last year for, this year's in budget, right, for income? Are you gonna get that this year or not?
We got it, I just haven't spent it.
You got it.
It's income for this year,
Then how can you put in income for next year in the budget?
because we had, design engineering, and the same amount of construction engineering.
You say you got it from the state, right? Where's that? Motor fuel tax? Motor fuel tax, okay. Okay.
It requires keeping in the motor fuel tax account until we go
Okay, I was, got me baffled down, it was last year's budget. It's income from the Center Line Road, now you got this year's budget again, okay.
Where, I guess I'm lost.
That's on page 28, Ron. Very bottom line, $129,000 requested.
Okay, I see.
We had that last year budget, did that much last year, and we budget the same amount again this year. Okay. So, let's see what else, that's the income. Now let's go back to the expense line on the county highway.
We're gonna be 10% less income this year. Of course, your income fluctuates all over creation, so, yeah.
I mean, I didn't include the Isabel Road project, we're still waiting on the state to release the funds on it. I mean, if we get the funds on that, that'll be, I believe
Yeah.
show $2 million worth of income and expenses. yet until we actually get the
It would kind of be like when we were redoing poor people's houses or whatever.
We've been awarded the money on a piece of paper,
You have
on a piece of paper.
Okay.
But as far as actually seeing the check, we have not got the check. And that's, so.
Your
But
town,
no, when we do get it, when, I mean, I'm hoping it's when we get it, not if we get it. But when we get it, I mean, we will go forward and we will have to amend this budget.
okay. Okay, bottom line on that income expenses. We did it all backwards.
I know I did.
Okay, no problem. 637, 637, okay. We're spending everything we make, right? Okay, that account, you got any comments on that account? Next department is the county bridge matching. Income of 140,000, expense of 140,000. Any comments on it? No problem? Next is state and federal matching fund. $125,000 income, $125,000 expenses. Pretty simple, man.
This one is,
If you spend it, use it.
the thing, like I said, that Hazel Road project would have been a little bit more challenging.
You paid off a lot of equipment last year.
Yes, we did. We need to buy one piece, we need to buy a truck, which I got budgeted for. After that, so. But I did do one thing in this budget. And I didn't budget for the county's share of health insurance. I thought since the county had money, which they were looking to give the highway department, which we decided not to spend because of the price of oil, I didn't budget for the county's portion of health insurance from the department, which is not $26,000. So if you get a $26,000 hole in your budget, just tell me and we'll put it back in the budget. That's, I didn't have that thing budgeted for. So if we had a $26,000 surplus, I'd be more than happy to just have that taken out. But if you get to a point where, which I think you probably will, you'll probably need it, so I'm
That's an expense. You didn't put that
Well, that's all
expense in
election
this
year.
Well,
You didn't put it in this year.
I've done it for years.
I know you have, I know you have. You've always paid it.
I see. Okay, Ben. Okay. Yeah.
Anything else?
One last question. You make a motor fuel tax, do you make a motor fuel tax budget?
No.
You don't make a,
We make a general maintenance program, and the county board approves the expenditure of motor fuel tax funds. And we develop a general maintenance program to spend that money. It's kind of a quasi budget, but it's from our motor fuel tax, we pay ourselves equipment now, which is just the use of the equipment. And then we buy materials with that, the oil, the rock, and cold mix, and culverts.
but you don't have to make a budget for the state of Illinois.
I make a program, which you guys approve.
Okay, but not actually, kind of budget, okay.
Right.
Gotcha, okay.
There again, you remember, the motor fuel tax money is we get a monthly allotment. And when we do our programs, when we do our programs in December, we have to determine how much money we're gonna get, because the allotment changes each month depending on the amount of fuel. And we go back on a 5-year running average to come up with how much money we think that we're gonna get as far as motor fuel tax. And then that's probably one of the biggest things that Don Nichols does, is monitor the use of the motor fuel tax in the township and county, to make sure that people are within the budget based on how much motor fuel tax money we get each month. And we don't get $500,000 December 1st in motor fuel tax money. We get that money allotted each month, and we get a check each month.
It varies too.
And it varies tremendously. This month, which would have been July's, we were up probably 25% because the fuel consumption was up. Because July is predominantly one of the biggest travel months of the year.
Okay.
And that would be a hell of a lot different than November or December.
Are we paid on a per capita basis or on the
Amount
non
of registered vehicles.
venture vehicles?
And then plus we're a new township, so we get extra money.
I didn't know whether the fuel tax from the truck stop or that comes into us, but
it goes into the pot.
yeah,
It goes
okay.
into the pot.
To the big pot,
But
we may
houses-
get
houses
$15 out of the whole thing, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because municipalities their allotments are based on population, and townships are based on miles.
The cover bridge, do we maintain just the road, or we do the whole structure? Just the parking area and
We got the parking area, we got the whole thing.
the whole thing? Okay, somebody asked me, and I said, no, we just take care of the road and the parking lot.
No,
The structure or not?
When that was built, when Gary Trude was county engineer, he needed money to build that, and he took what they call jurisdictional transfers, which were state routes, which the state paid us money to take maintenance of the roads, and that particular roadway was one of them. He took like 4 miles of state routes for jurisdictional transfers. But yeah, that's all a county road. At one time it was over Route 40, and it was a state route. But the county has jurisdiction over it from right at the west entrance of the fairgrounds, all the way around to New Fort.
Okay. I didn't know if it was us that maintained it, or
It's our
I didn't know if the historical maybe did it, or who did it, so. I just want to say, I think everybody kept asking.
Now you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Ben, that's all for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Sherry? Moving right along, guys. We're moving right along. We're way ahead of schedule there.
Yeah, Sherry's not supposed to be here until 2:45. We're done. I move we go someplace and
What place that, Lucky Pig?
we'll have the lucky day.
We'll be back in a half hour. Sure. Okay, well, just a minute, let me see. Health Department, you just have one budget? Okay. Any major changes?
I've seen that the salary is down.
Salary's down, I saw that.
The reason being is that we're contracting with Coles County for environmental.
Instead of Chris Jackson's salary. Okay.
So that would be under contractual services there.
Correct.
Contractual services up a little bit. 6,000 maybe, and salaries down 18,000. Okay. Any other major
You're
expenses?
looking at a loss of 14,000 over everything.
Well, no, it's a wash.
Change from last year, that would be
Amount of
change.
change,
Well, look at the salary, or the income to the income page before, expenses, 356,903, expenses are 400.
First comment, Shirley, property taxes, you increase that by $4,000. Everybody agree with that?
We do. We asked for that because last year we negotiated that you only gave us the 5,000. But if you look at our expenses, we pay the county back 46,000 in insurance premiums.
Is that right?
That's right. And I think if you pick up the highway department, it's only fair that you pick up ours, because we would be there. I think 911 and the health department would be the only two that you're not paying.
Is that right? Your health insurance premium is a little smaller too, $4,000 less on account of one less employee.
well,
Yes.
that's employees,
Okay. Okay. You did see our budget bottom line, did you? You haven't? You thought we didn't do
But she's breaking even on her budget, so.
But for $40,000 that we're paying from the levy back to you guys, we could do a lot better services for the people. I mean, we had a small comparison through the administrators, and from our levy, when you take out the health insurance, we're getting $2.80 per capita. Whereas Ford County, a population of 14,000, their levy gives them 200,000, which $14.29
levy from the
from
county?
the county.
Oh, really?
Bond County, which has a population of 17,000, they get 110,000 or per capita of $6.47. Hancock County has a population of 18,500, they get 321,000 for a per capita of $17.35. And then Iroquois is 28,000 population, they get 316 for a per capita of $10.94, and we're getting $2 per capita. Vaccines are going up. We're getting slow and no pay on our MCOs for the services for the people on Medicare, Medicaid.
Slow pay.
So, and they're just barely covering the cost of vaccines. In fact, the shingles vaccine is so expensive, I don't think we're gonna be able to offer it, and they're gonna have to go out of county to get it.
Oh, really?
And it's on back order because the new went out, and you can take it even if you have an allergy to eggs, because it's a non-live,
It's a new vaccine, a lot
Yes.
better, they said.
it is.
I'm gonna get that one.
We can't afford to purchase it, because you can't buy just one or two, you have to buy a box of 10. And then if we only give 5, we wasted 5 and they're very expensive.
Okay, anyway, property tax, we'll leave that alone, I suppose, it's no problem.
Well, that was their problem, having to bind. Earlier, they had been asking for the increases.
We're way below where we should be. The previous ordinance, when the health department came back out of the bi-county health department, it was set at, the rate would be 0.75% for the health department, never to be changed. But when they came back out of that bi-county joint venture with Clark County, they didn't reestablish that ordinance. So that's why, for many years, we just kept getting less and less.
I see. Okay.
Now, did you go back up to 0.75? You didn't, did you?
I think it's just a little over 0.5. I can send that
Well, that's okay, I knew that,
yeah. They're not even close to
0.53.
that 0.7 that had been established, but by oversight of previous boards, it was not reset when we came back out. And I don't think, I know Jonathan, when he was state's attorney, he looked at it and it said, when
There's no
it's
way
come back
you-
out, you can't
Yeah.
reverse it.
Okay, anybody got any last comments for sure? Just a minute. One that I noticed here.
We haven't increased our fees for septics, food, for at least 8 years. You know, we don't want to have to raise those fees, but if we have to, we will.
This reserve account fund is for income. Last year you budgeted 12,000.
What that was, 3 years ago, we received an award from Medical Reserve Corps. It was 15,000. And those monies were put into the reserve account fund. That's what we buy the code red system with.
Okay.
So if you look over on the expenses, by the end of this year, those monies will be expended out. So it won't be in the budget for next year.
Okay. No problem?
I'm just hearing everything, and taking it in, writing down notes and going from there. And then we'll talk about it.
The Medicaid is down 8,000. Like I said, we're not getting full payment. And with the new NCOs, they're all over the place. Blue Cross Blue Shield used to be the highest payer back, and now they're the lowest. And generally, the other ones are going to look at Blue Cross Blue Shield to see what they're paying. Line I Care, we're having trouble getting payments from them.
Okay.
So you basically, on Medicare, you're down a little over $2,000.
Mhm.
Do you think we should make the 10,000 this next year? Because that's an increase. Yeah. You're requesting 10,000.
Yeah, the lab tech on the phone.
You only brought in 4,700. And I'm looking at 063, 000, 33, 46, or
33,000,
3350.
that's Medicaid.
Well, that's Medicaid. I think we'll increase in Medicaid.
Medicare.
Well, yeah, but I was looking at
Medicaid will be down
Medicare will be down 8 grand.
about 8,000.
8,000.
Well, this year you got 29,000 actually. Already. So you're
Right,
way above.
because, it's because that we didn't get payments at the end of last year before the budget finished.
Okay.
See, our grant year runs different. It's July 1st to June 30. So that kind of gets, in fact, we're just not getting paid for the state flu shots that we did 2 years ago. We just got payment for that. So you're overwhelmed.
I just keep all your board members.
Okay.
And right now, I'm not planning on changing the contractual with Coles County because it does save us money. And,
Saves us money and it saves the
save-
IMRF and insurance.
Plan on staying with Coles County.
Yes.
Is there any other options out there you can go with, a different county?
I prefer not to.
I didn't know if there would, that would even be an option.
Shelby and already contracts with Moultrie, so they would not. Effingham is down to one environmentalist, so they couldn't.
They're overloaded.
They're overloaded. Jaspers, I think they're looking at going with Crawford.
This seems to kind of be the trend.
It
Mhm.
is.
Does Coles County have a problem with us contracting?
Combining with anything else? No.
They've already,
Services?
they've already talked to us about renewal, because ideally what we wanna have is they would hire another person and have down here more so than what we have right now. Right now, it's getting things caught up from where they came in, and they come down and do the inspections for the food, the septics, and the wells. But they would actually like to have someone in our office to answer the questions, go out on the nuisance complaints, because right now in the contract, I still do nuisance. So,
How many employees have they got environmentalists?
right now they have 4.
They got 4 environmental? Wow.
And all but one is going to be taking her license for LEHP, the other 3 already have theirs.
Okay.
Didn't they tell them in one of the reviews that we don't even really have enough to justify a full-time
Correct.
employee for it too?
The Department of Public Health said that we don't have.
So we need to be going, partnering with someone, maybe.
And they, all of their sanitarians, they know the code. And the new food code comes out January 1st, and they've already been trained on it. They're gonna be doing some trainings in Cumberland for our restaurants, so that they will be up to it. They are tough,
But,
but she knows her stuff.
Yeah, I know one restaurant said that they had to change all the baseboard.
They didn't have to change it, they just had to put something over it, maybe that would make it clean. Because the way it was, it could absorb the dirt and so forward. Major changes, they don't have to do until they sell or they remodel. Because a lot of the ceilings were approved many years ago and they're not in code. But we can't make previous inspectors, she's not gonna make them thousands of dollars to change that, so. When they remodel or they sell, then the new owner has to make it right, or if they remodel, it has to be corrected at that time. The goal is not to close anyone unless they're serving food that will make people ill, or they're just totally in violation that we can't allow.
okay. All right, Sherry, that's all for now.
Okay, do you know if we might hear about the insurance? So we can start planning, if we could get extra vaccines come flu season and when the shingles come available.
We'll hear about what insurance.
If you're going to pick up our health insurance.
For reimbursement. You know, Ben said he didn't put his in, and she's saying since he didn't put his in, she would like to have hers taken off hers. Right, yes.
You're talking 42,000.
About half the loan.
I like the highway park pay there, so that's what I'm gonna go for.
What?
I like the highway park pay there, so that's what I'm gonna go for, so.
We can tell you,
We'll have to think about it, Sherry. I'm not sure what to think on
Any more questions?
that. Not for me. Very good, Sherry. Good enough.
You've got something to look at up here.
No.
You ready for it?
Not really. You were on the list a while ago, and it's about too late now.
Yeah, it's too late.
We done did it for you.
You did hit it for me, I appreciate that.
We cut everything.
Yeah, we have a zero budget.
All right, well.
No, it's the beginning of the year, you're on it. Joe Owens will take your place.
All right. Once I can file for unemployment, I think I'd probably make that deal.
Oh, we're no way.
And then I can pay, then I can.
We're under Brian Robbins.
Does elected officials get unemployment? Should. I'm not just asking.
Okay, state's attorney.
Our reimbursements come down.
Why is it down so much, Brian?
Reimbursements?
Yeah, from the
From the
state.
state.
Your salary reimbursement.
120 to 86,000.
Oh, the way me and Bev talked about this, and the way I think that they did is they got behind, and then they tried to catch it back up.
So that's why the numbers have been all over the place in the past years. See, it's 113, 120, 68 last year, and then for next year it'd be 86,000, is that right? So, because what it is my salary is 128, they pay 66.66, and so 66.66 and 128 is 86,000.
Oh, they're supposed to pay 86,000 every year.
Right, but I think what they did is they weren't paying us for several years, so then they had some making up to do, and that's why it's.
Last
When
year
they
they
were-
paid 120.
Really in the hole,
Mhm.
more than what we got now.
86,000,
We're gonna
okay.
have to sue them to get the pay.
Yeah, you have to do
Yeah,
that.
we're good.
Don't know how that works when the state's attorney sues the state, but,
Make a name for
Well, isn't
yourself.
there laws?
that's,
You make a name for yourself.
well, I think all the state's attorneys were gonna do it together. I mean, I think it was more of a formality than anything.
I
Make
wouldn't
a name
waste
for
my
it.
time. I wouldn't waste my time.
Is the criminal and juvenile fines, is it gonna anywhere come near 50,000, because you're only at 19?
I doubt it. Well, we've got a couple cases that have got chances of being big incomes, but it's gonna come down to whether we can get it resolved before the end of the year or not. It's always hard to tell. You never know what crimes people are gonna commit, and crimes are way down this year. They were up.
Because Brian's the state's attorney.
That's what I would make.
That's good that they're down, I guess.
They're afraid of.
We usually file right at a little under 100 felonies per year. Last year I filed 200, and this year it's at like not even 35. It was like 30 last I looked a couple months ago, and I know I filed a couple, but yeah, last year I don't know if you guys were trying to kill me or what with all the being arrests they were making, but
Are you sure you're even showing up for work? And not, you know,
Are
it's
you
just
noticing
that many files on your desk.
yeah. Well, that's the problem is, yeah, you file them one year and then you deal with them. Most of them are getting disposed of, but yeah, this year the reports are coming in and they're just somehow being misplaced. Not really. They're just not as many. For whatever reason, I don't know if people are just behaving this year or what's going on. I know Terry Lane, who's our task force, is retiring or retired. So I think he's slowed down a little bit as he was nearing the end of his career.
That's
If that had something to do with it or not, but.
He's hope not, if he's writing 150.
Well, he was, yeah, he was, but he was pretty good because he was our task force guy, so he was the one who, I guess, helped with all the meth busts, drug busts, and those are all felonies, so they do increase your numbers, and they're down. I mean, the drug busts are way down. And those, like I said, those account for most of our felonies. The rest of them are like people who've been driving while license suspended or revoked just too many times. It's up to a felony. And, you know, a couple DUIs can get you up there, but other than that, just not a whole lot.
Alrighty, well, so that'll probably done. Well, now let's see, we'll do the expenses, right?
So this year we did 2 secretaries, right? Part-time secretaries?
Yeah, you have Anita full-time and then just one part-time secretary, but she's working 2 days now instead of the one that, I can't remember who worked for Jonathan. Ann just did 1 day, I guess. She came in and put in one long day of work.
I was just looking at salary, because in 2017 it was 6,000. I thought we hired another one because it went to 12.
Yeah, now she just doubled the days.
We doubled her days.
Yeah, she was just Wednesday and now she's Wednesday, Thursday.
She goes back just 1 day. Slash salary.
Not if you want to keep prosecuting people and you want to need to stick around, because I think she was getting pretty sick of, she runs pretty hard now, all day, every day. You cut her down to one person, she'd have, so what that extra person does is every Monday, Tuesday, we have call, and it's a banker's box full of files. So every week, they pull a whole banker's box full of files for me to go through and then go in front of the judge. Usually one banker's box on Monday, usually 1 or 2 on Tuesday. And then we go through them in the court call. Some of them I have work to do on, but either way, they have to file them and then pull them every week. Hundreds of files. calls, and that's what that person does for the most part, and then they also, do other stuff in the office, but that's the big thing that they do every week, that either frees up Anita to answer calls and get course supervisions lined up and handle the day-to-day.
And you don't think, I'm just looking at it and it's going kind of the other way, but, witness expense travels were budgeted 1,400, they're at 3,400,
Yeah, and we haven't used that in years.
and you used it this year.
I don't think we used it at all this year.
It's got 3,400 in it.
It says current actual 3,400.
For witness expenses and travel,
Did you have to bring a witness here?
Yeah,
Forty-four.
I remember
4407.
Brian, wasn't there someone they stayed at Mattoon? I don't think it was a, yeah, was it, or it was an attorney?
all the trials I've done have been local. I haven't had any witnesses come from anywhere or do anything. Yeah, so
What line is that in?
I thought it
It
was.
was 164407.
Where's that?
164407.
Let me go do a detailed moment.
You budgeted 1,400 and it's 3,400.
Yeah, that can't be right.
Mistake, you think?
She's
Yeah.
gonna go pull details.
I wonder if they
What it's
didn't-
Consist of.
If they didn't move that from, our, there's another line item on here.
Last year's $400, right, from 2017 to 400 actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that if you need it, it's gonna be big. Cause you're gonna be bringing in an expert or something like that, so that's why we budget so high. But if you don't ever, if nothing that needs a big witness to come down, then it's 0, which is what I try to keep it at.
Yeah, the,
Psychological testing, I bet that's where we're supposed to, at least some of that 3405 should have went.
Testing, 1,500.
Because-
Last year, 1,900, 2017 is actual 1,900.
and there's nothing there this year.
Right, and actually we looked into that at our office, and it looked like the psychological testing we had either happened the year before or is now pending, so we're gonna be increasing. We've got people that, Dr. Boyd's bills that have yet to be paid, yeah. And that's something we've kind of been lucky about not getting a whole lot of, because we're getting more and more people with mental issues that are being requested to have fitness examinations, and then after that, if they find anything, then they're going back for an examination to see if they can make an insanity defense. And then, we gotta pay for all that.
I thought maybe it was for you.
Yeah, it wasn't as expensive travel,
No, I was talking about the psychological test.
Well, after reading the Facebook page, sometimes
That's a detail on that, what do you know of it?
Oh, THC, those are actually THC quantification, that would have been a test. That, Judy K. Osgood, that would have been a psychological test.
Don't say names out loud.
Oh, that's just the doctor. That's
Oh, okay.
not, that's not the client.
Yeah, we don't put clients on there.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that we were
Yeah, so that's just the THC
not getting ourselves in
quantification.
trouble.
I don't know, that's when we get in our code, so that's what was taken out,
Okay,
so.
well, we'll have to recode those, because, yeah, that should have been, the 150 should have been just a drug test. The 1,500 that's almost certainly a psychological examination. And then the next one, another psychological examination. So, looks like psychological examinations would have been about 3,000,
Instead of 1,500.
250, and the witness expenses should be 0.
Well, it stuck out right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Would have been 3,255. Should be in the psychological testing.
3,255?
255, and then 150 would have went to
expect you went to the witness travel or something else.
No, it would have went to, I don't see anything you could have put it under.
Fees,
Under what?
fees,
Fees,
a testing fee,
testing fee, yeah, what line is that, you see that?
Uh,
On next page.
next page,
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's what it should be.
so that's an extra 150.
Yep. And the problem we had with that was that, for marijuana DUIs, they went from, it used to be zero tolerance. So if you had any marijuana in your system, you're eligible for a DUI under the DUI marijuana law. They changed that to what's called quantitative rather than qualitative. So you have to have either 0.5 nanograms per half milliliter or 10 milligrams per 4 liter. I'll get a little cheat sheet out to look and see exactly what it is. But the problem was they changed the law, but they didn't equip the state lab with the testing materials they needed. So what we had to do was send them up to a Chicago lab, which charged $150 per test, and that's where that $150 comes from. A lot of times we can get it back out of them, and if they pay the fines and court costs and include a lab fee. But sometimes the problem was we'd send them up there, and then they'd come back and it'd be under the limit. Well, now who pays it? We do, because there's no prosecution because they came back under the limit. So it was a big pain in the backside. Good news is now the state lab's equipped to do it, so we won't have those fees anymore.
Were you able to use the health department at all for drug testing?
We haven't used them yet. I think it'd really be probation who would use them rather than us. We don't do drug testing, probation does. But I don't know where they're at with that. I know I talked to Heather about it, but I never followed up. Do you know if they have?
I don't know.
Okay. I prefer
I used it once, twice.
I prefer that's the route they went.
Not myself.
What's that?
I've used it twice at the office.
All righty,
Okay.
any questions for him? All righty.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Undercover today.
Oh, okay.
Who?
Ben Lane.
Been done, yes.
All right.
Plain
Well,
clothes,
that was good.
a plainclothes cop today.
Undercover.
Okay, Steve Ozier, Steve Maroon, whoever.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Let's see, Steve Ozier.
Too much.
You got 2 accounts, right? General jail, county jail, and, well, you got more than that. You got several of them.
You've got maintenance and everything.
Oh, that's right. Let's start with the county jail. Income is very low. Basically the same. Expenses. Bottom line, you're gonna spend $14,000 more than last year. $283,800.
Yeah. Probably bulk of that is,
Correctional.
Salary.
salary increase primarily, because everything else I think we're kind of,
Yeah, most got salary
about
increases.
the same thing. We'd like to calculate that anyway.
Yeah. Salaries corrections up 5.9%. May I ask, you hired another person, or how do you get that extra percentage? What is
It's, I just calculated it out, per person, and with their increase, we may have had one, sometimes you have their December 1 increase, and then you can have a
step raise?
step raise in there, so it's hard to,
How many people are on that salary?
there's 5 full-time
Oh,
now.
that would be benefits too. wouldn't it?
No,
Benefits are different.
they're in a different place, I assume.
I didn't see.
Insurance and social security is all in a different account
Okay.
for the employers.
That is your salary.
That's just their basic.
Basic salary.
Okay. Next account fund is, police vehicle fund we have here.
I think you can buy a car with that.
I really don't know none of them.
Yeah, that's money that's collected through the, some kind of filing through the courthouse, through the clerk's office. Those parts of fines maybe, or, I don't know, that's how that's, and it doesn't accumulate much, we just left it. I mean, it's building, but it's been that way, it's gonna take a long time.
Okay, next account is security fees. Basically the same amount of dollars income,
Yeah.
14,800 income. Expenses, went from 12,500 to 15,500, so you increased $3,000 expenses out of there.
Yeah,
Salaries was 1,000 and courthouse security.
they, I think the judge eventually, he'd like, in a perfect world, we'd have full-time security over there, but we haven't done that. We don't generate enough, we're ahead of it because over the years, we've been able to collect money and not spend it. But if you look at the actual account, if you hired somebody full-time over there, I mean, in about 3 or 4 years, you could probably complete it, and it doesn't build quick enough. There's not enough. And that's all out of filing fees also, that's what that money comes from.
How much is in that security fees? It can't be an idea, roughly.
Yeah, it's,
You know.
yeah, I don't know if you got it or not, but it's just, you got it somewhere.
Why? It ain't in there. Yeah, maybe it was.
It's, I mean, it's probably got 100.
You want me to go down? I think it's 130 some.
It was about like that when we did the cameras, when it
Yeah, I think it's about 130 some.
It's specific.
I thought I'd go.
It's one of those accounts that, it's, you can, your limited expenditures out of it, it generates its own money. And we, so far, we've spent way under that, but, we're never gonna make enough income to offset a full-time guy.
Okay.
And we haven't done that yet, but I know the wish list would be to have a full-time guy.
Did they have cameras down there? They did. They come
I
out.
think we did, yeah. Oh, and that's what that because one I thought there was a $2,000 equipment expenditure, I could not remember, but I think that's where we spent, at least some of that was cameras.
Yeah, we
We
did,
agreed
and
to
we
do
got
that.
half of it back from the insurance.
That's right, about $2,100. That was about, oh, yeah, that's what that went to. Okay.
The machine in the front there that you should walk through, that was paid, that thing's getting some age on it, but that's how those funds build up a little bit before we actually implement it, so we're able to buy all that stuff out there. It still works good, so.
Okay, how old is that machine?
I don't know, I mean, it could be 10 years old.
Oh, that old?
We've been doing that for quite a while.
Okay.
$5,000 or $6,000 machine then, I think.
I see. Okay, security fees. Next account is, sheriff's account. Okay, we got. Just income. Bottom line, last year you asked for $44,000 income, this year we got $55,000 income. Something to do with that, we got school resource officer.
Shouldn't, well, okay.
We shouldn't have that yet, should we? Oh, okay, in the budget, okay, that's fine.
It's in the budget, yeah.
What was that reimbursement of 16,000, what's it from last year, we don't have this year?
We won't be getting,
Say what?
we won't be getting.
Wait, where was that?
It was, money, grant money for, task force.
Oh, okay. Okay, that guy retired now, didn't he? Okay, that was both. Yeah. Okay, there's your income for that sheriff's department. Now let's take the expense line. Salaries up quite a bit.
Yeah, we added a car in too, that's a significant amount, that kind of on the tail end of that.
Sheriff's new car,
Which is a significant amount of money.
37,000.
Yeah. We hope that will get everything we need, the friggin' things are getting higher. Well, quit making the Ford that we were buying, the cars, we were buying all-wheel drive. They call them interceptors, they're Tarsus is what they are, they're gonna quit making those. So the thought process was just get everybody who wants the Explorer, which is $3 to $4 grand higher.
More expensive, huh?
Yeah. But you think about resale and stuff like that, I think probably potentially get that back to me, although we wear them out pretty good. When we get done.
What about fuel economy on
Um,
worse than?
They got the same motor,
About the same then.
and they're both all-wheel drive, so I haven't never, Steve's got it, fairly new one, and I've never actually checked the mileage on it, but I think they would be comparable. It's hard to measure that because they sit idle a lot.
That's true, that's true. Don't make a difference.
But I think it's 17, 20. Something like that.
Okay. Maybe what's got the budget for resource officer in this year's budget, 26,000. That was also an income, wasn't it? So that should cancel each other out.
That should cancel, yes.
Yes.
It's not gonna cost,
Okay.
not supposed to cost us anything.
Yes.
So in the budget, okay. Other than that, ain't a lot of difference in it, really.
Most of the other ones are.
Car repairs went up a little.
Well, I did that because, depending on what we do with this car situation, I just had my own shop again. So fortunately, got a fuel pump go out, well, we put a fuel pump in it. Fortunately, still under warranty, and it basically cost us some labor. It's got some other issues, and I've been just kind of dragging my feet on it, but if we aren't able to get a car, then there's gonna have to be some money spent. It needs struts, and it needs, we got the starter problem we got taken care of, with the battery issue, but I'm concerned there might be it's in good shape, but it's 160,000 miles.
Who does your mechanic work?
We've taken them different places, the boy there in Greenups,
Good Hollywood.
yes.
Chris.
He's a Ford man, and he's good. He's very busy.
Yeah, most of the mechanics are busy.
There's a guy in Neoga we used, and then he went out of business for a while, and then he has come back into business, remember? We used him a
Coming
little
back.
bit. Yeah. Danny Ballard, who does a little stuff, he get tired, we kind of scatter it around, but sometimes we have to go to the dealership when we have a warranty issue or a recall issue. So we try to trade locally as much as we can with that part.
Okay, we got, so you're, so anything else on the sheriff and?
I don't think there's any major, there's been a tweak or two in the line item, but nothing significant. We bumped fuel up $1,000, because I don't know, it's been creeping up, I don't know what that's gonna do. It's been good the last few years, but most of those are pretty close to the same.
We talked earlier possibly about security cameras in the jail.
I don't know where they're at. Anyway, that's the sheriff's fund is, any more comments on the sheriff's fund? Let's go to the DUI equipment fund, that's, basically the same income, I guess that's the income, expense is the same, so.
That's one of those accounts too, that there's, that money is all over the map coming in, and it gets assessed, and that has increased the amount assessed on the DUI, but you still got to collect it, so. And that fund, we try not to spend, we just spend what we need out of it, so it's actually got a little extra money in. That's why the outgo looks way bigger than the income, but cameras for cars we can use, we have to spend that money, it has to be related to DUI enforcement, which is almost anything in a car. and the car included, but, so that's another one of those funds, it's kind of, the money comes in, you can only use it for certain things. It doesn't come out of the general fund, in other words.
Okay. DUI equipment, you couldn't use that for cameras in the jail, could you?
No, we could use it for cameras in the car.
In the car.
PVTs, portable breath tests, and those are, really a radio. I mean, we think that means any communication, any lights to stop them. I mean, it's pretty much
Got anything?
about anything in the car, because that's part of how you enforce that. And that's what we've been using it for cameras, because they're expensive.
Camera in the car is expensive.
And they won't prosecute, or there's a prosecute DUI by camera in the car anymore. So,
You got cameras in all your cars?
we have all but mine now.
So we can be driving in front of you.
We've worked on that for a long time. Yes, yeah. Well, it doesn't mean I'm gonna write you DUI. It just gets harder for me to prove it. My word against yours.
Yeah. Well, you'll win.
Okay, all right, DUI equipment, how much, do you have any idea what's in that account? Maybe you-
Probably got that.
It don't make a difference, I got a lot of asking questions.
I mean, I wanna say 15,000.
15,000, okay, well,
Because there's years we
Get
don't,
'em.
years we don't need a camera, we don't spend anything much,
Can we use 15,000 to buy a car? I mean, you
Well, I
can
think
run after
theoretically
these
you-
DUI guys.
I think you can. I think that's,
Usually
there's not enough to buy a car, but you can,
Right.
it would help.
pay for part of it,
We just have tried to buy more specific things.
probably need it for camera
Yeah.
and stuff.
Most of that cameras work a while, but by the time the car cycles out, by the time we cycle a car out, you could have 8 or 9 years on it, you back up.
We do the camera
Do
too.
something different.
Yeah.
Or they change so much you can't retrofit it into the new style.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next, I'm ready to move on to next county, yes, I don't know, Steve, you know, maybe with that, Joellen would find out maybe.
Police vehicle fund has 7,600 in it. Just real quick.
Which vehicle?
As of, we talked about that a while ago, and then the DUI fund, well, it looks like it's got $23,000. As of, maybe that was as of last month. End of June. So,
Okay, next we go to medical, county jail medical, what about county? 22,000 income?
That is, again, that's a fee through paying the fines, comes through the court. It is another earmark. It has to be in the course of arrest if there's some medical, in the course of arrest, let's say you wrestle a guy and he gets hurt. You can use that money for that. You can't use it for a pre-existing condition the prisoner comes in with and then needs doctored for it. It's one of those that you have to, if he comes to jail and then gets sick while he's in jail, I think we can use it for that. And other agencies that, let's say, arrested a guy and, got into it and the prisoner ends up hurt, arrestee ends up hurt, they can actually ask for reimbursement from the hospital, bill out of that same fund.
So we put about 2,000 a year into the fund.
Yeah, we don't use much of it. We use it when we can,
That's
when
good.
we're allowed to by statute.
Okay. Okay, next fund is the sheriff e-citation. Very small fund.
Yeah. And the expenses going to that is way bigger than that fund's gonna bring in a long time. So I drug my feet and will continue to drag my feet for 4 more months. And I'll let somebody else drag their feet. The problem is we don't have.
Should we be talking to somebody else?
The problem with this is, because of lack of funds and frankly necessity as far as I'm concerned, we don't have computers in cars because they're not necessary. There's some good things about that, but we don't have to have them. We have dispatchers and they can look the information up. So you'd have to equip the car with a computer and a printer to even be able to do these e-citations in the car. It's paperless, which the clerk claims they're gonna go to paperless. They've already gone to paperless in some civil, I think all the civil cases. And the next step would be to go to the criminal cases. So it could change the way the sheriff's department act. You know, it could cost the sheriff's department a lot of money, because, you know, a lot of departments have already done that. We haven't done it because we haven't had the money to do it.
So you have to equip a
And it's not
computer,
necessary.
in every car.
Yeah, I suspect there's a way around it. You could write a guy a handwritten citation. I don't know if this would be, but my thought was, well, worst come to worst, you write him a hand citation, you gotta give him a copy of it. So it's not paperless. Because even if you do it on your computer, you gotta print him a copy, which is silly. Then you gotta send it to the clerk's office to file it electronically. This is oversimplified, but my thought was, well, we have computers at the office. We write a hand ticket, hand them a copy of their ticket with all the information on it. We go back to the office, we put them in our computer anyway, hand type them into there, and maybe file them electronically that way. But, you know, there might be a way around it without spending all the money, but. And eventually, we do accident reports, the DOT is wanted a long time ago for everybody to do those electronically. I mean, we still do them handwritten. It's just as expensive as our, you know, it's not necessary.
We do a lot of things.
It's probably gonna happen eventually.
Probably, eventually, yeah.
The foot dragging sometimes is helpful because they'll buy you some stuff. Sometimes that's not the case, so you end up having to do it anyway. But our fingerprint machine was given to us by the state because we didn't buy our own. We weren't gonna buy it, we just did it in a way, ink way. And they finally said, "What kind of machine do you want it?" And I said, "Yes." "What's it gonna cost?" "Nothing." So that's how we got that. So, and I don't do that, I don't do that on purpose, but if you're gonna mandate this stuff, you gotta pay for it, because it isn't necessary. But I know we fight that every day with everything. But anyway, we've been fortunate, but eventually, and this e-citation, the money that's bringing in is peanuts, I mean, it's nothing.
No, it's
$200 a year, I mean, that would take you 10 years to buy a computer. $2,000 maybe, I don't even know, those tough little cameras, maybe $3 or $4 a piece. And you gotta put them out in every car, you might get by 3 computers, but you gotta drive to the office and swap them out, and that's a pain. So you could be looking at some pretty serious money, $30,000 for something that's really not necessary.
All
That's just
righty.
my worthless opinion. I don't know what else we got on there. Operation and maintenance.
Operation and maintenance.
Oh, but, well, just a minute.
Yes,
But, you have a new car figured in there, in this budget.
in that sheriff's department,
Sheriff's Day.
and it's in that line.
You took it out of your budget last
Last
year.
year, yes.
So chances are we'll put in this year, I think.
I don't know how much, I haven't sat down and tried to figure it, it's hard, but if we're gonna have any significant of money we won't need to spend this year, because sometimes we have a fair amount that we don't spend.
Well, this year's budget, you may have money left.
I don't know, I thought it would be to, and really, I don't know that it's either here or there, but maybe if we thought we were gonna scratch it and have enough unspent money that we could buy a car this year, but that's gonna take some.
But that's,
But it all comes out of the general fund, so it doesn't really,
I mean, different whether you did this year or next year.
yeah, it doesn't make any difference whether it's this year.
that's what I.
We're all-
I just
we're-
wanted to toss that.
Be
We're
good if you had
we're in a
money.
deficit budget anyway this year, so.
It'd be nice if you had money left over to,
Well,
and didn't spend what your budget was.
We've spent a little more in labor. We're struggling getting part-time help, so consequently, you end up spending more.
Yeah, labor gets expensive. Yep. Okay, well, we ready to go to operation maintenance? Just a minute. Here, operation maintenance, all right. We got office rent of $400 income, we got that again this year. Steve Shore got that for us, right?
Right.
The rest of it's, salary? It's a new budget, right? Okay, not much compared to.
I'm not aware of any major repairs, but off the top of my head, I mean, you can always paint or get some new carpet or, you know, that kind of stuff.
This budget's got new carpet in it, right?
I increased that
Okay.
building maintenance
$30,000 for new carpet, Steve.
On Steve's budget or
on
on
operations and maintenance.
operations?
For the annex building. New
The
carpet.
building maintenance goes for 60,000.
I increased it to 60 by 30,000.
So they did allow
It
for,
used to be 30,000. You said you increased it to 60.
Well, from the
The
figures
whole
that we had.
budget's 130,000. We usually run about 100,000 in operations
Right.
and maintenance. But we upped it to 130 this year.
you got
in the new
140
carpet.
there, Bill.
Oh, 140? Okay,
142, you got.
okay.
So you increased it 30,000, so you used to run about 115, 110.
And we
Yeah.
usually spend like 100,000 out of that.
100,000 every year.
Yeah, I'm just going by in the past, what we spend.
Mm-hmm.
I did get a rough estimate on carpet for this building, and you're looking maybe 20,000.
20.
But then if somebody else needs something, it'd be a little bit more.
Yeah, I got about 3 million over there purpose.
Yeah, that'll get you out. Okay. Yeah, we'll probably put some carpet in this building that's pretty soon, so much part of it, I hope, yes, I'm hoping we'll, anyway. Other maintenance on this building, I don't see a whole lot, roof's in pretty good shape for a while, you know.
Over to jail, I don't know anything, I don't know anything at the courthouse. It's-
We have the damage to the carpet in the probation office from the leak.
Oh, I know what you're talking, damaged carpet, did it?
Yeah, remember I showed you that when you came over there?
Yeah, I seen the leak, and, I didn't know how
What's
to
our
remember.
insurance pay for that? Is the insurance paying for that?
It probably got it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, if it was hardly 30,000 here. That'd be a big
2,500
deductible.
per incident.
2,500. Yeah,
How big is that? How much would it cost? For that?
Oh, I don't.
it's a very small room.
It's
Very
just a
small room,
small
right?
room.
Very
Oh, yeah.
small
It
room.
might be 6 yards, 7 in there.
Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't take over 2,000. I would,
We wouldn't hit the deductible.
no.
Something else in there?
Okay, so.
Huh?
Do you do carpet?
I do for my own house.
Okay, Steve, any other comments?
Well, I guess the question I had is, they said that we were under the old analog system with their cameras.
Cameron,
Well, the cameras, there's a system over there that's, so far they've been able to repair it, but I think I told you, maybe some of you anyway, that
yeah.
to replace that door, it's all connected into the door open system, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it was originally. And we had to replace the recording part of that, use the same old cameras, for $2,000-3,000 several years ago, because it went down. So but if it's tied into the door system, I know the door system, we got a quote several years ago, about $60,000. And that's probably different now. It might even, could be cheaper, because a lot of that stuff's touchscreen. But it controls the doors, and it also helps control the cameras. And my thought was, if it did something, do all that at once, and get that all, like it was to, when you can control, they can control it. They can't control the cameras as much as they could. And then hopefully add some cameras.
How many cameras you got in that jail? Do you need in that jail? Total.
Well, we, when they built that, they fixed some of them, say, 10 cents time. And there's no camera on the back, outside on the back wall, for instance. There's no access there, but really, it's really a bad idea. Because you can throw stuff over into the outside bullpen from that back wall, you never know where you're standing.
Oh, okay.
So that was a bad idea. There was an outlet there. I
Good
assume they
place.
ran wires, they just didn't put camera.
Good place for camera.
But I'd rather, but it's more inside that they kind of skimp. And at one time, there were certain places you couldn't have cameras. That has apparently changed for DOCs. And we could put cameras in day rooms now. Would be, that's at least, at least 5 or 6 cameras there. And if you can make one camera do it, probably 5 or 6. And I don't know how hard it is to wire them, but it's all the analog and all the wiring is gonna have to be updated, even if you replace it. Because it's all, they can't use the same cable light as wires for that. New
Right.
stuff. So it's gonna be,
Expensive.
yeah. And we just keep,
So it'd be 15 or 20 cameras in that building? 15 or 20? Not even that.
well, there might be 10 in there inside.
Yeah, okay, 10 is, we need about
But I'd like,
15.
15 to 18 probably, and one on the back. One's outside, we have one on the front, outside, and one on the east and west side that we can get a pretty decent view of, but we don't have any on the back. But they all gotta be replaced, so you're talking about,
Everyone. The courthouse, will we put in there 5 cameras? There were 5 cameras in there.
I mean, you could quote that, you could do it separately, but they can't. There ought to be a control at the back, in the control room, because those girls can switch cameras up, and they can't do that. And they can pick a specific camera in the booking room, for instance, you don't need an extra camera in there, at least one. And then if there's a wrestle match going on, she can put that, right now there's several cameras on a screen, she can't isolate that camera and make it full size so she can see what's going on better. You can see them, but it's just not as good.
The new system.
If it's digital, it'd be great, anyway, it'd be so much clearer. We've replaced a camera or two over the years that have got cracks, but they were all black and white originally, we got a couple of colors now, so that tells you.
Should pay for
Kind of
itself.
antiquated.
You get the digital cameras.
But I think that's a big enough project, I'd like to see it bid all, we don't want to rebid all at once, if you decided to do that at some point.
We were talking $70,000 for
You know, I-
cameras and doors.
Stanley Integrators, the company, I think bought out the company that originally put those in there. They were out of Indianapolis. There might be somebody more local, but where you run into trouble is control of those doors.
Some doors. would be
Those
something.
relays and crap upstairs, and I don't know if any of that has to be switched out, or they continue to use those other things. It's a kind of big project. And they always tell you, well, there's not much longer we can maintain it, but they keep maintaining it.
Didn't our insurance say they would reimburse up to 10,000 per year for security?
Camera.
Something like that, yeah.
They might use 10,000, just be about half that.
Yeah.
You have about 20,000 in the camera system.
One lawsuit, we may be spending that much.
Yeah, I mean, it would be helpful.
I know, we just talked about these other things.
All righty,
That building's probably the most critical.
Which one?
The most critical to have, cameras in.
You know,
I mean, we have cameras, they're just not as,
They should be newer ones.
they'd be like, they're 20.
So you think you put the
system's
cameras,
21 years, 21 years.
when you put the camera system in separate, then they have to be hooked into
You
the
could.
doors? You think?
You could do that, I hate to keep adding, we got screen after screen after screen after screen, and if we could combine that too. But most of that door system stuff is on a computer touch screen now. Instead of, I don't know if you've been in there, but it's got that old box, it's got buttons. You push 2 or 3 buttons to get a door open or close. It's it's really an old system, but it's been a good one. But and you can incorporate that all into one monitor, I think, and control all that with one monitor. Because the girls already they got a computer monitor for our in-house stuff. They got a computer monitor, there's 3, I think associated with 911 that they got in front of them, and then there's, I think it's just, that stuff
Yeah.
scattered everywhere. But if you could consolidate and kind of keep from having to add too much more.
All righty, Steve, that's all for now, I guess.
Mr. Howard's not here.
No, he's supposed to be here, I can go ahead if you want.
Mr. Sheriff B, do you have anything that you need to say? Mr. Sheriff to be, if you win the election.
I brought back, and I didn't realize that I had this in my book when I came up earlier, or if you even cared to see it, but the statistical stuff, this is what you were looking at.
Yeah. I like that.
Is this your day off?
Okay, all right.
Other than that,
All the fees come in this year.
Just looking for you.
That's what I'm afraid of.
They're changing that.
That's what I'm afraid of. Now I've got to,
This is where I figure.
are you driving the sheriff's car or are you driving a different
So I
one?
don't know what you were
You
looking
can see
at
me.
as far as.
Well, good.
Because this is just my schedule. It doesn't have the clerk on here, so I don't know if you were.
Clerk,
Yeah, they have clerk.
Clerk now.
Because, see, here's the.
I saw you this morning.
cases filed versus.
He was in your little gray car, I think your wife was driving.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that
We were
generates-
going to pick up a
you
car
can't go by
over
the case number because we can get
Green up
600
automotive.
cases filed, but
a truck. Had a sensor go out of it.
throughout the whole.
Okay.
And so then here's the total.
Thanks, sir. You're a good guy sometimes.
If you have any questions, I don't know where I'm at.
In jail?
Yeah, I'm in jail.
So that total makes a huge difference.
Okay.
Come on up, Mark.
Good that they go down.
You're
That was
next.
just perfect timing, you guys aren't running late or anything.
No, we're
Ron.
just about perfect so far.
Okay, where we at here, Mark? Animal control.
You bet.
Income.
Sorry about that.
Dog registration gonna stay the same, huh? You hit your goal of 18,000 this year?
I have, every year.
Good job.
You're only at 11,000 right
You ask me that every year.
now.
Animal control fines stays the same. 870 you had so far, and you're shooting for 2,000? You don't find that many, do you, Mark?
Yeah, I got 2 of course in court,
And court deals?
one yesterday.
Yeah, turn out in your favor, or didn't it?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
1,000 and another one, just a couple grand. So, I try not to fight them.
Okay, income looks good. Animal control expenses, salary increased 3%. I don't have a problem with that. So, everything else about the same, isn't it?
Yep, just as true as I can make it.
Okay, bottom line, 27,000 and 27,000. Losing 7,000 a year. Could be worse.
Yeah. It's not bad to run an office for 7 grand a year.
Probably so, yeah. Okay, pet population. That is income, right, of 2,500 this year. And in expenses, spay and neuter canines is 1,000 less than last year. And spay and neuter feline, which is cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's that new program?
That's that new program we're doing
$1,500 more income, more expenses there.
so far. You know, that's going to actually, I'm trying to get that
Go down.
total will be down.
They go down and go.
To use it, and that's what it's there for, it's only be used to spay and neuter.
So that feline working okay, that system?
It is, so it was just a little slower than what we anticipated, we have to be stellar right now.
Good, good.
Yes, it's full.
Oh, so they moved to Green.
Yes. 2 weeks ago.
Good. Pet population's helping you out on that, huh? You got volunteers for that, don't you?
That connection?
Oh, Pet Connection, right, that's what I say. They're helping you out on that.
They are. Our deal was, out of my pet population fund, I would pay to have it spayed and neutered. They would actually go at their own expense, twice a week and set the traps, take them to Walton Harmons, bring them back, release them, set traps, take them.
They do all the work.
They do all the work, and the requirement is $10 per cat donation from the town, village, or municipality to the pet commission. And it doesn't even cover the gas, but
You don't pay their gas. No, $10 wouldn't go off
But they need, for the 501c, they need donations. So that's what's helping everybody.
Okay. That's one fund you got, right?
Pet population and animal control, yes, sir.
That was quick.
Yeah, well, you guys are really on time.
We are taking that now.
Yes, you can.
All right, Mark, no problem. If we, anybody got comments or questions, Mark? All right, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
I
did,
Thanks, sir.
Of course, we went to Greenup here a while back, and they went to their board meeting about the cats. And just to say, they was happy, they was ready for it. The Yoga, on the other hand, refused the services.
Well, Yoga doesn't want
So
that.
we're going to Yoga.
You're not gonna do, are you gonna do Jewett?
If they want it, I've asked, some of the board, I've been there to the board meeting, talked to their board members, and they seem to think they have a different way of taking care of the cats.
What's the yoga's way, why the yoga say no?
They did not want to donate $10.
You must not have a cat problem.
They do, and she's been asking for help. She was excited when I first introduced and told her about it. She wanted us to move over there immediately, and turned the light switch. They did not want to pay the $10. So they do not want our service.
You think that was the main, $10 was actually the reason? Or that didn't?
That was the reason that was given.
You got 1,000 cats, that's $10,000.
Well,
You got 100 cats, that's $1,000.
Probably 100,000 cats.
Well, look what it costs the county. Look what that comes out of my account.
In my yard.
It's $50 to $80 a cat. That's what it's costing us.
what do you mean?
To have it spayed neutered.
To get them spayed and neutered.
Dude, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Some cats, they populate pretty fast, so they've got a problem. They don't go away, do they?
You get 5 or 6 of them in a shot,
And we are
a
hoping
couple times a
to
year.
continue this year after year. And they've actually talked about their donations, making a donation back to the pet population. To have to every year.
I guess cats aren't that bad. They do some good service, keep the mice population down. So maybe get all the cats, they may have a mouse problem. So.
And that's the reason why we relocate them back in the exact same spot.
Oh, that's right, you bring them back, that's right.
Yes.
That's right, so.
So that the rodents, you know, they do have a service.
They do, yeah, I got cats on the farm.
But we just don't want them having kittens anymore.
That's true.
So then you have a rodent problem in 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is you got such a cat problem, you're gonna have a disease cat problem.
That kind of wipes out the cats, and then eventually they start coming back, so I don't know.
We don't want any diseases in there. Because that spreads to humans as well as
And your pets get it too then too.
Exactly. So how was the rest of
Oh, you made it.
Mark,
Pretty good?
Pretty good.
Outstanding.
Not going bad.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, sir.
See ya.
See ya.
My turn already?
Already.
well, you know how to time it, Mark. Here, Steve.
Guys, I'm sorry I'm running so far behind. I was in training in Collinsville till noon.
Is that where you
I could have stayed till 3, but I just decided, back because I like seeing you guys' beautiful faces so much. EMA budget. Might be a couple changes on there, and I think they're
Then
just
from what you
clerical.
sent me the other day?
Yeah. The only thing that changes on there is the phone. I think I told you last year we might have changed it in the actual budget. I didn't look at my actual final budget from last year. I looked at my numbers that I had made. And the phone needed to go to 1,600 to make sure it was paid for.
Oh, okay.
And then salary, I'm tired of arguing about salary, so I just made it 3% and called it good.
Okay, thank you. Mark Howard's is 3%, yours 3%, we'll make Mr. our maintenance man 3%. It's one, kind of like keep them all same, so that's, thank you, chief. Leave around 3%. Salary?
I'm still holding firm to the fast, that job is worth $1,000 a month.
No.
And the 3% doesn't come out of us. Only 1.5% comes out of us.
Huh?
Only 1.5% comes out of the county.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions with that one?
No.
Okay, here's coroner.
Just a minute, Steve. Miscellaneous expense, where'd that $12,700 come from? Current actual,
That was probably that budget, or grant thing,
a grant?
probably the grant.
A grant?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, where are we at now? Corner?
Yeah.
Turn the corner.
Sure.
That's it.
Couple of minor changes on that. If it's in blue, it went up. I wasn't sure what the preset was.
It's 16,224. That was $16,224 is what your salary will be.
Okay, 16,224, so,
I have that on my sheets in the book.
I was thinking it was around 16, it went to 16. The deputy, last year, I paid for it out of my automation. I'd like to put that back in under the county fund. And I also will, I'd like to see that go to 3,500, so I'm gonna pay that extra 1,000 out of my automation fund.
Why do you need to go higher, 3,500? Why do you need to go to 3,500 for your assistant salary?
Well, the 3,500 covers any assistant that covers at any time, total. I usually pay them like, if they cover 24 hours for me, I'll pay them $50 unless they get called out. If they get called out, then I pay them $100. And, you know, usually somebody covers for me like 1 day a week. You know, like if I'm driving a school bus during that time, somebody's covering during that time. On Saturday nights, I'll work EMS up at the racetrack in Charleston, and I just want somebody available to go during that time. I've kind of got it worked out that if something big were to happen down here during that time, somebody will come in, but there is a lag there, and I want to make sure my office is appropriately covered, you know. And then my wife made me go on vacation this year, so that was 5 days. You know, it's just somebody to kind of give me a break.
Why do you want to take out your automation?
Well, it's that automation statement is actually different. It's the coroner's, it's what they call the automation fee. It's what they take out to assist the coroners in every county, and that money comes in every year. And I just, for the most part, I try and build that up for training, and at some point in the future,
maybe help with purchasing a new vehicle, or things like this, help with the assistant's salary.
How much you got in the automation
We
fund?
were 5,000 last year, or this year. How much you got in total in that?
I think it's 19,000 right now. Well, let me
You got
go.
5,000 this year from it? 5,527
So far.
so far?
I don't know how that comes in.
Yeah.
For sure.
Income.
It's got 19,432, and I spent 1,650 out of it. Cause all I spent was the 2,500 that used to be in the general fund budget. Last year, you asked me to take it out of my automation fund to lower the budget expenses so you guys could get even. And I'm just asking to put that 2,500 back in general fund balance and then raise the assistant total to 3,500, which 1,000 of it I'd pay out of that coroner's automation fund. Autopsy, we're already over budget for this year. We had it at 4,000, and I know it's gonna be over because I just done another one. There's, you know, you can roll the dice on that. Some years you're not gonna have any, but I mean, I had a double fatal last December in Greenup. There's two, day 4 into the budget year, you know? And opioids, you know, I had an opioid overdose, and those are mandatory. Children are mandatory. I haven't had none of those, thank God, you know? But then the other one was, the other day was, it sure looked self-inflicted, but I want to cover my bases. Because husband left, and then when he come back, he found her, and, you know, let's hope that's what happened.
Right.
But we can leave it at 4, and I'll just go over budget, you know, but
What does an autopsy cost, one autopsy
1,500, or 1,250, 1,250 per.
per autopsy?
Yeah,
Are they all
and
same?
then there's toxicology.
Oh, they're, I'm just curious.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you wanna raise that, or you did raise it to 6,000?
Yeah, I just raised it to 6,000. But like office supplies, I've never even used 1,000 in office supplies, so I lowered it by 1,000. It was at 2,000, I lowered it by 1,000. And fuel, why?
Where'd you lower that at?
On this one it does, because on this one it's still.
The old one is still, oh.
Yeah, the one I gave you had some changes, because I was just trying to go through it and be realistic. And I guess I should have, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But like the fuel, why am I taking, I haven't charged the coroner any fuel. Because EMA, I have a fuel budget in there. So I charge it all to EMA.
Oh, you did?
You know, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to try and figure out what fuel I use where.
How much is what, yeah, percentage-wise.
Okay.
So, you know, I lowered it by 500, I had some just in there just in case. And, car repairs, I'm sure I'm gonna use a little bit, because that van's giving me a little bit of problem right now, but it's not bad.
So there's $1,000 for meetings and meals, there's none on this, not on here.
Yeah, that was what prompted me to do that. I didn't see that $1,000 that
I'm saying it wasn't on.
yeah,
this
it
one.
wasn't on that one. When I was sitting down and looked at these here a minute ago, I was like, oh wait, I gotta have that in there, the meetings and mills.
Okay.
What about that telephone, are you taking that out? Because it's not on this,
Your telephone, Steve.
the 1,200 that was on there originally.
We'll just pull it all out of EMA.
Okay, Bev said you talked about, you put it in your budget first.
Right, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I took that out because last year we talked about putting in a landline phone for a fax machine. You didn't think that I needed it, and so,
Do you need it?
not if I'm not gonna have an office that, you know,
It's working, Bev says it's working okay out of her office.
yeah.
Your fax
If she's okay with it going the way we're doing, I'm okay with that.
Oh, good. Let's
You know,
leave it- let's leave it like that.
it's not that big a deal.
Okay, good, good. Good. Mhm. Okay. So the bottom line on the corners,
And so now you're gonna have a revenue line on the corner for 2,500?
Yeah, that revenue,
Because I didn't have that before.
I only saw it in, I don't know why
You've got your corners automation, do you think that's where that should go?
Yeah, I think where I come up with that was in this monthly report that, let's see, that was corner automation, okay. Because I really shouldn't be making any money in corners.
So, yeah, so see, because in automation, he brought in 5,500
Okay,
this year. So is that where you want the 25 this year?
yeah, in automation.
Okay.
Well,
last
See,
year you
because
made
you've got
10,000.
corner.
Last year you made 10,000 in corner automation. In 2017, $10,341.
it was how much?
$10,341
In
in
17,
fees.
coroner's automation. I don't know, is that so much per death certificate or per death?
Yeah.
The coroner gets out of that $4 that we send in or something? And I don't know if that was a buildup or,
Yeah, that was built, it's just been building up.
well, I mean, you received that in 17, but was some of it from the prior year?
From
maybe?
previous years, because 17 was the first year we established that fund.
Okay, so, see, we have to send $4 in for every death certificate that we issue, and then they split it at the state, and that's what goes into this corner. So that's where you want this
So
20.
about that, that's the amount in the corners automation fund, $10,341. So you won't put that much in every year, will you?
It probably just depends. See, this year he's gotten 5,500.
Actually got 5,500 this year.
Actual 2018, 5,500.
No kidding, 5,500. But, okay. You didn't budget for any last year, and you're not gonna budget any this year, so, okay.
He's got this 2,500 here,
Oh, he put
and I think
on.
that should be automation.
That's gonna automation, so,
Yeah,
and
which
so,
is,
yeah, it
yes,
should be.
that's all specialty funds.
The way I understood it was that fee has to go to that automation fund. It can't go to the general fund.
Right.
Okay.
It's a specialty.
Yeah, right.
You can only spend.
But I think cremation fees, I can designate where they go, right?
I'm not for sure.
I can look
So are they
because
going in there also, maybe?
I could throw $2,500 in revenue out of cremation fees. Probably close to that.
If it's legal.
I mean, if,
Into where? Into automation?
I get $50 fee for every cremation that happens in the county.
So maybe that's included.
And I think we've been sticking that in that automation fund also, including what I get from the state.
Well, so, I mean, you got 5,000 this year. so
Yeah.
far.
That state stipend money has to go to that automation fund. It can't go to the general fund. But I think my cremation fees, I can designate where they go. And I'm not trying to hoard money.
Why would you want it in where, you would go to the general fund?
Well, we need to do by statute, whatever the statute
Ah.
says.
Yeah, by statute.
So why does it go to
You don't have a line item for income.
Well, he doesn't, but he's saying if he can, he
You
might put
might
some
do
in
that,
there.
might do that,
But we
okay.
need to see what the statute says to see if you can.
Okay,
Make, double check on that, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, before we, I show revenue into the corners fund from cremation fees, I'll double check it. But I know that $4 fee that I get from the state, the automation fee, cannot go into the general fund or the general corners fund. It has to have its own special fund. And that, not to specifically say, but by ruling, the board can't designate what I do with that money. But I'm not trying to be like, I'm just trying to get through the day.
okay.
Anybody have any other questions?
No, no question.
EMA budget, as it sits, are you guys okay with it? Do you think we'll be okay with that? The only reason I ask is my application for fiscal year 19, it was due August 31st. Now they're kind of on hold, kind of swinging, but I want to have it prepared and ready to go just as soon as they accept it. And I've got to have the budget here authorized first, because in the past, when we disagreed about the salary thing and all that, I've had to go back and amend my application every year because the numbers weren't correct.
I see.
We'll be probably, are we voting on the budget this?
No,
No, it's not.
I think a month or two yet,
Yeah.
I got a feeling, to vote on it, yeah. That EMA budget, I don't think we'll have a problem
I
passing
see that.
it, will we?
I don't see anything wrong, but.
Okay.
Well,
I
never know
understand
when it gets done.
everything's due to a final vote, and if something changes, but if you saw something immediately that well, that's not gonna fly, then I can change it before I submit my application, but.
That'll pretty sure pass, Steve, pretty sure it'll pass.
And just so you know, next year, they're going back to
Yeah, John.
the dollar for dollar. The way it is now, they don't match dollar for dollar.
Yeah, no problem.
You pay one thing, and when they see you paid it, then they'll pay a counterpart. And that's why we still haven't got even like first quarter stuff. But next year, they're going back dollar for dollar, so when I submit a quarter, they'll say, okay, the county paid $1 is his salary, here's a dollar. And then, it builds up. It's not,
You say they're going back to that, is that what they used to do?
going back to that. That's the way it used to
In
be.
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Okay, all right.
Alrighty?
Hi, Steve, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
guys. I got receipts for you.
Okay.
Are you nosy or just here because you might be able to help?
She might be able to help.
I was asked to sit in.
Oh, you're asked to sit in, not by who, may I ask?
I mean,
That's fine. I just assumed you and you.
Too many guys against one gal, so she decided that she
well,
did
if you
back
guys
up.
have questions on her end, that you might not
That's
know.
no problem, John. She's looking at me.
I don't want her here.
There's nothing wrong with that, having her sit in, there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't care who's there.
Okay, now what, guys?
If you're ready for me to go.
You got everything else done but yours?
Yeah.
It's only 3:45.
Don't brag, we're not done.
You're gonna take one, aren't
We've
you?
got the general fund and
Oh, shit.
all that stuff.
Do we need to take a break or a little bit? Let's take a 3-minute break.
3-minute break.
Have a 3-minute break.
That
works, that'll give me a chance.
And we got a couple other little things in there
I
that,
don't know. I did find out, I was wondering why we weren't getting sales tax and stuff off of that. Diesel is not part of that sales tax. that 1%, it's not.
You know,
like
the judge
you
did
get-
come
Like
in.
the school's 1%, it's not part of the, diesel's not part of it.
Really?
That sucks.
Ah.
At least that's what the state told me now, whether, because I was wondering why they weren't getting a big jump on it.
What's
Well,
that?
they told me that it's the municipality,
Municipality gets the
the
majority of it.
majority of it.
Yeah,
The state, or the counties and the,
'Cause it's
schools
in
do
the-
not get the majority of the fuel.
No, it's in the
no,
I found out diesel's not part of that
municipality,
1%.
Oh, the 1%.
Really?
yes.
So when they have that, because they're having record numbers, because I talked to the manager, they're number 5, or top 10 now in the nation in diesel sales.
really?
Because what they're doing, instead of stopping at Effingham, all the traffic, they're stopping
Stop here,
here,
right
so
there.
they don't have all that
Right.
commotion, is what
And they
I was
like it
told.
here, and they don't even, they're stopping here before they go to Marshall Terre Haute too,
Yeah.
so, I mean.
But
I'm surprised they haven't talked about putting a stoplight over there to help them.
IDOT said no.
Said no.
IDOT said no, they didn't like, they thought it'd back up the traffic, because when they first put that in there, IDOT, I was at that meeting, IDOT said it might back up the ramp, and they didn't wanna do that. That's what they said. I don't know.
The original-
IDOT, the reason, the Loves wanted to. They wanted
To me, it would help out right there.
I thought it would too. I think Loves wanted to, but IDOT said no. They're afraid it was gonna back up onto the interstate. And it's already, have you seen it sometimes during the middle of the day, about 3 o'clock, coming off the interstate, they're waiting on the side of the road to come, so they can all turn in, so.
Jenna was in driver's ed and she was turning into Dairy Queen, and they, you know how that is there when, she's like, I didn't know what to do.
It's-
Well, they're sitting there waiting to
Yes.
turn, and somebody can buzz right
But,
around.
yeah, not see it
I'm
because
surprised
it's
when we're accident, when
semi.
you come from out of Loves and wanna take a left, and there's that semi, you know, you can't see crap. I
No,
mean,
you can't. So the best bet would be to do, I guess, is turn into Casey's and go through their parking lot and go
Avoid
into
all that.
Dairy Queen.
I don't know, it's,
Go around the block.
Yeah.
they're making a crap load of money, the fuel wise.
Doing big business on that.
That's what their manager told me.
That's everything I hear. They're doing good.
But you know, for that 1/4%, I haven't seen a difference. Have you?
No, no. And when I looked at the difference in the checks, you know, it was like minimal, like 1,500.
They said
you
the
know.
food, I mean, the food places don't make as much money, and that's where you're getting your sales from, and they're not making, they don't care about the food.
But
That's what he
shouldn't
said.
the gas, shouldn't we get a 1/4% of fuel sales?
No.
Not a diesel, no, you don't get
No.
any of that, we don't
Not
get
a
that.
diesel,
Mm-mm.
but like a regular.
I don't know about
gas?
car, I don't think even
I mean, you
fuels, you
pay
know.
sales tax on that, so why wouldn't we get a 1/4 of it?
That
It
doesn't-
goes to the
Municipalities and
municipality.
the state, it doesn't go to, doesn't go to
Even a
county.
1/4%?
Now, we get a portion, it's in a big pot, so we just get our, like,
Motor fuel, or
And that's by
they pay motor
population, that goes,
fuel.
it goes into a pot, like she said, and that goes to population.
But you know, when you pay gas, and that motor fuel tax is
Goes into a pot.
separate than sales tax.
It still all goes into a pot,
So we don't get to see the sales tax.
as much as we would like.
So that's why.
mhm.
We just need more people to move
I
into
just
the
thought it was
green
gonna
now.
get-
Well, or buy more cars. And
Yeah.
I told you, buy 6 more cars. Kyle, help us out here. Floyd, you need more cars, don't you?
Shit, not too many vehicles. 2 cars, 2 pickup trucks.
2 of my vehicles I just had renewed at the end of June. 2 of them had Jasper County on them. I had to tell them, I don't live in Jasper County.
I have to correct mine every year. They put me in Shelby.
Really?
Really? The state does that?
Yeah. Every year they have to change it.
So-
Because I tell them I'd rather give Cumberland my money than a
Yeah,
county I'm not going to.
yeah, and that's what I'm like the same, because, I mean, one of them was a semi.
Where Floyd's at, he's probably Effingham
The
County
VP
over there.
program, in my opinion, is a joke at all. We have too many facilities and too many.
Renewed, I
Have you ever looked at your card to see what it says?
Look at your registration.
Probably Effingham.
hope not. I think I even got it straight. I just come. I hope.
My address is Julia, so that's,
Your vehicle registration, you wanna make sure it says Cumberland.
I do,
That way we can get your
yeah.
motor fuel tax money.
We get all your money. All that your wife don't get, we get the rest.
You don't get much then.
You got a good wife.
Last
She can spend it fast, you can make it run.
This is gonna take an hour.
There's lots of little ones, but then you got your final stuff.
Yeah.
We don't wanna know the final number though, geez.
I know the final number.
We talked into $100, and that was.
Not fun, it's not a good looking number.
Wouldn't say it.
Okay, page 52, that's your county board. Not much change there.
52, revenue, we get $4 revenue from the
We
dues.
should from UCCI.
Okay. Current actual 150. Anyway, go ahead. Salaries, department heads, stay the same.
Yeah, that's a guess. Depends how many meetings you have.
Publications, raise that a little bit.
Go to every other month.
I put some in, publications like prevailing wage, that has to be put in the paper. So that's a county board thing, so.
Association needs,
Nice, good.
expense a little less. We just change that from the
Yeah,
publication.
from the publication.
Okay, so it stayed the same. We're on budget, and we $5,400 for meeting expenses. We'll get there anyway. Close, so
Guess we cut them salaries.
We could do that.
okay, that's according to the county board's fine. County clerk and recorder. Liquor license took it down a fraction, huh? Video gaming left same.
Well, we have, yeah, so many machines out there that we're supposed to get $25 each on, so
It goes to the clerk's office?
that's where the video gaming, I don't know
It goes
why.
to the clerk.
Statute probably,
Yeah.
$200, all we get out of that?
$25.
That's for
That's
license.
That's just for the
Oh,
license.
That's the
Gotcha,
license,
gotcha.
$25 per machine.
Yes.
The treasurer gets it in. Okay.
Money set by the state, is that by county?
The liquor license?
The fee for the video game.
Video gaming?
That's $25 machine, right? Is that?
I think that's by the state.
Oh, is that set by state?
I think it's the state.
I think it is too, but I didn't know.
It is too.
I don't know, there's quick place for it.
Okay, then we got marriage license.
I increased that because I hope to have my fees approved to increase the license fee.
Did we approve them fee increases?
That will be at the board meeting,
What do you think? We talked about that.
and we talked about it.
Boy, can you get remarried or?
I get married before the fee goes up.
It's gonna go from 38 to 65.
Can't afford to get married after that.
Can't afford to get married before that.
Okay, then the other fees.
Yes, that's just the fees that I take in when I record, and I took into the fact that we'll be raising those,
You'll
but
raise those
I
too.
believe last year I overstated, I forgot about the GIS money. I think I included that in my fees, so that's why I
You
did.
took it down a little.
I took it down,
Okay,
and I
so,
based it on about 1,900 documents. That's kind of an average.
okay, so our income is gonna be $13,000 less this year than last year. Okay. Now, expenses. Chief deputy salary's up a little bit. Clerk salary's up 5%.
There's
So your
two,
step raises?
they will get a raise December 1 per contract.
Okay,
And
that's,
there's two in that salary line. And I may have had less in there last year, I may have paid more out of the election this year, because I got two elections.
election salaries too.
Yeah,
Okay, and the rest is all about the same, huh?
yes.
Bottom line is you're gonna spend 4,000 more than last year. Okay, that's the clerk recorder's account. Okay. Telephone you took down? Any reason?
I mean, just because of the average.
Okay, let's go to the election fund. Reimbursements from the state.
I have that lower, because I don't know, they always reimburse so much per election judge. So next year, all we have is a consolidated, I only have 3 judges on a consolidated election. And I don't know if we'll have any money from the HAVA grant. Like, this year, we got, I don't remember what it was, maybe 78 or 9,800, I can't remember what it was, we just got it. That's why it's up to 11,000.
Oh, so we can get
But
that.
I'm not for sure, because they're doing a lot of cybersecurity things right now with elections and this HAVA grant. So there may be some out there, but I'm gonna have to be spending money to get that grant. So when I don't have a clue.
So you cut that down a bunch, didn't you?
Yeah, because I really don't know if they're gonna have anything for me. You know, last year we didn't receive any. I turned it all in, and then the state budget they didn't put anything in for the HAP grant, so we didn't get anything last year. And I can use it for, software for, election registration software. And if you do a purge, voter purge, and we did that right after I started. And of course, that was the year they didn't help pay for it. So, anyway, I don't know if we'll have that available, so that's why I did not put anything in the income for that.
Okay, all right.
You,
So that's down a bunch.
you mentioned cybersecurity. Are they doing anything, or are we doing anything for cybersecurity?
Well, they're coming up with something with the state of Illinois. They're gonna have a cyber navigator something. They're gonna hire like 9 people, and they're gonna split that between the zones, where they're gonna come and do risk assessments. And I think I was reading where they might have some kind of a network where all the election authorities will just go through this one network for their registrations. And I don't know, it's all kind of a.
Easier to hack then, just one network.
I don't know, they're working on it, so that's the big scuttlebutt right now, cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Okay, now the expenses in elections.
Well, they're a little less because I only have the one election.
One election, okay, so you got $12,000 less expenses,
Mhm.
$9,000 less income, so. You're actually gaining 3,000 there, okay. All
I
right.
was wanting to see about raising, election judge salaries, but with the way we're sitting, I don't think I wanna bring that up this year.
What does an election judge make?
The base is 120, and they usually get there at 5 to 5:30 in the morning, and they're there at least till 7.
1,300 a day, $9 an hour. They're above minimum wage though, Ron.
Yeah, that is.
My wife's one of the judges.
Just barely above minimum
Just
wage.
barely above minimum wage.
You know, and they get a little extra if they pick up and bring back, but the base is 120.
Yeah. As long as we get judges to work, we'll just leave a salary there.
And like I said, next year it'll just be 3 judges required versus 5,
Okay.
so.
All right, that's the election account. Recorder's computer,
This is specialty funds where like $5.30, I think, from each recording goes to, and then I can use that. One of these days, our office might have to go put stuff online too one of these days, so there's money in there.
how much is in that account, you know, roughly?
I think about 70,000.
What's on that book?
Yeah,
70,000.
between all 3 of these,
Oh.
recorder, computer,
Okay.
yeah. So, I don't know when that's gonna happen,
You get
you know, where
10.
researchers can look online and see our recordings, and then you charge fees for that, but
No.
it'll cost money to get that stuff
Mhm.
available.
Okay, so expenses from that account have also went down $3,000. Miscellaneous expense, automation went down.
I just made it a wash.
Okay.
We're able to buy a few things out of that, like certain paper, marriage license, death certificates, vital record papers that we can use that for.
Okay. Okay, that's the recorder's fee, recorder's computer. And we have recorder's computer, RHSP, whatever that is.
Well, that's, you know, we have to collect $10 from each recording for the rural housing support. And that money, $9 goes to the state. 50 cents goes to me, and 50 cents goes to general fund.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And so that's what that is.
Okay.
And then the specialty funds. I can't remember if that's where the GIS money goes, maybe? We get $1 from GIS, I don't. On our fees, $20 goes to GIS, and then we get to keep $1 in the clerks.
Okay.
So I could be telling you backwards on those. No, that's RHSP, so the specialty must be the GIS money. So, but all of those together total about $70,000 in all those accounts.
Okay. So,
So those are all of those. So then we've got public defender, Joellen helps me out on that one.
Reimbursement from the state, 42,000. That's coming in all the time, isn't it? You're getting all that, I assume.
Yes, yes.
Very good.
And the judge did want to look at it, he come and looked at it while we were meeting, and he said it was okay, because Ed thought he needed more money in this one line item, but he had plenty in there, so.
Well, Judge Brady looked at it, was in there, I seen him come in, he didn't
Yeah.
stay around for a meeting. did he? Okay, public defender salaries, 64,000 plus assistant salary, what's off of this year? Take in 44,000, we pay out 92,000. Okay. In the court systems,
Help me out here on court systems, I had no clue on that one. Probably fees from tickets, is that where they get their money on
Yes.
court systems?
Yeah.
the tickets, $1,000 less in income. Interest is up a little, so no big deal there. Now, the expenses on court system. Oh, office supplies is down a little bit.
We just kind of went by past.
For meals, same. County sheriff judge's salary, $600.
Don't we have to pay something annually for the judges?
It's, I think it's like dues, isn't
Is
it?
that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Telephone stays the same. Jury advisory telephone. Miscellaneous expense, computer. Add it all up, you got about the same price as before, come down a little much. Spend 7,000, take in 7,000 to spend 12,000.
Yeah.
We're not in the money-making business, are we?
All right, next one is marriage fund.
Whatever the judge charges, I think, for marriages that he does goes into here.
Oh, okay, those he does for marriages,
Yeah.
okay. Miscellaneous expense, very little expense, very little income.
He just uses that to clean his robe once a year.
Clean his robe.
Yeah.
He doesn't need it clean.
I
He
didn't know
doesn't
about that.
even wear it, but that's what Judge
I know.
Miller always, that's what he did with that money.
Oh,
Really?
He would clean his,
Judge Brady don't like wearing the robe. Do they have to wear a robe?
I'd
For
say
jury
not if he
trial,
doesn't.
He told me no, didn't have to, but
It's part of the job.
but a lot of them, if you don't do it.
I see.
Hey, we should make kind of ordinance about that.
I think that, yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll go over that.
What color robe you want to wear?
The standard, the hottest, wooliest one we can get.
First we tell wear a robe, then we pick the color, right?
Well, yeah. I'm not worried about the color, I wanna pick the material.
I'm a color. Let me pick the color.
Material.
It'll be a rainbow color, all different colors, like in the middle here, all rainbow colors going out.
So
Little hippie
colors,
type.
there you go.
Tie-dyed.
There we go.
Okay, now we're on the law library fund,
Yeah, and that's with the judge.
3,200 income,
I'm sure that's collected from fines and fees.
It is.
is it?
Yeah.
And, law library expenses is about,
Books.
little more. Little more, $1,000 more
And he
expense.
said something about some things he looks up online and costs.
Yeah.
You should know all that stuff.
That's what he went to college for.
I didn't think you were that smart. Me when that's smart.
Okay, now
He
we're
married
ready.
one of the kid's daughters, he couldn't be very smart.
Now, we're at,
Well, we're on the general fund.
okay, property
Okay.
taxes.
Okay.
Last year, we did what? 557,000 property
Well,
tax. This
but
year
you
we're-
know, we amended that when we lowered it.
Oh, we lowered it
So that's gonna be really like 400 and some thousand.
457 instead.
The request amount that I have in there right now is when I do 4.99%
Okay,
from last year's levy. But,
they said it ain't right, huh? You're not sure that's right?
oh, well, that's 4.99%,
Okay.
yes. I don't know if now's the time to
I
approach.
think we need to discuss it.
Okay. I'm thinking that we need to levy over the 5%. And when we do that, we have to do a truth and taxation hearing. And that is to be able to capture any monies out there from new property. Because if I only ask for, say, 60,000 more, I won't get, that's all I would get if I'm below the limiting rate. If I ask for more, and we have the truth in taxation hearing, that if that limiting rate will give me more, we can get it. And that's due to our assessed value, hopefully going up, and new properties.
And that's why I asked her about the truck stop on what the EAV was going to be, whether it was taxed at a third, or, you know, a third of the EAV
Or a third or 10%.
or 10%, or like farm ground is and stuff.
Since we're P-TEL, it's gonna limit us, okay? I can, if we ask for more, we just have to have the hearing, and it's only gonna give us
It's only gonna give
what the
us,
state says we can get, you know, we can't.
Okay, well, this doesn't make sense if you,
Since we gave
Well,
it away.
yes.
I know, but we need money, so I think we need, but we won't get that new property money. You know, say if she gets a lot of new property out there, we may lose out if all I ask for is the 4.99. That's,
we,
I know it's so hard to understand.
You won't get that new property?
Not if,
not if you don't ask for it.
if 4.99 is, say, a $60,000 increase on our levy, okay? So if that's all we levy for, and if there's a significant amount of new property along with a higher EAV, we could lose out on potential tax dollars that we could get if we ask for it.
And you lose out year after year after year.
Are you gonna increase the base this way or not? Is this
It
gonna
would a
affect the-
little bit, it would slowly increase your base for whatever you get, okay? I called a guy at the state, and, we just did a guess. And using, they have this worksheet. And right now, I got too many papers. I had, Courtney run me like an estimate of the EAV, and it had new property on it.
But she said that she hadn't put,
This is just what's on as of right now,
as of right now.
you know, so it's not even close, probably.
Yeah, you, so
But
we're
there
gonna have
is,
another 400,000 or so.
right now they have 477,000 in new property out there. And he said a good guess is our EAV would probably grow 5% from last year. So we just used, we took last year's EAV, increased it by 5%. He took off the new property on this, you have to subtract it. And we could get, like 5.6% increase instead of 4.99. Does that make sense?
5.6.
So if I asked for 4.99, we could have got 5.6
At the point
because
seven.
of new property and higher EAV. But we gotta ask for it or we don't get it.
Do you have to ask every year?
Yes, you have to, because you have to have
No.
that truth in
Right.
taxation, if you need it, if you wanna go over the 5%.
Okay.
Once, let's just use the truck stop, okay? And you said the truck stop wasn't in that, so it's gonna be more than, it's gonna be more than 0.7 increase
1.7.
because of the truck stop.
Okay.
If you do not put the truck stop in, then we are limited from then on at the lower amount. If you put the truck stop in this year, then we're up there at the, you know, we've established a little bit higher amount to take in revenue from the truck stop. After the truck stop goes in for the year, it'll be this coming year, then it's already in the old and it's under P-TEL after that. So you're gonna be asking for a large increase one year, because of all of the brand new, or the new stuff. Now, depending on how much Courtney comes up with the other things
I
around,
think quite a bit.
and probably quite a bit, you may have to do it. But, you know, the truth in taxation is basically, you hold the hearing, we say the truck stops putting most of the EAV, you know, the increase on it, we want to capture the taxes from the truck stop. So if we only go 4.99, we're not capturing the taxes from the truck stop, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So it just all kind of depends on how much our EAV grows and how much new property we have.
So when will you know that?
Well, I say you just do it, and then if it all happens, then we
You're
might
gonna,
get
you're
more
gonna have to,
than.
you're gonna have to do it.
Just
You're gonna
do
have,
it.
you're gonna have to figure out what, or use what he come up with.
Seems like what we're doing is trying to take the money we gave away and just making up the difference of what we just did.
I'm trying to increase our base.
I know, but that's the reason was we wanted to lower, that's why we did the,
Okay,
and now we're just trying to make up that money, it sounds like we're trying to
You
do.
won't increase, you won't get a lot of that.
you won't
base
get that
back.
much, because
Very
from
much
what he
You're not gonna
did,
get
It looks like that's what we're trying to do, though.
from what he did, it only gained us $7,000. But
You know,
that
that's-
7,000, that
That's
would,
what we're trying to do, you know?
well, okay. So, okay, we wanted 1,309,000 last year, so we decreased it. So I can go 4.99 legally, but I have to go from the 1,209, 1,209,000. So right there, you've lost 100,000 starting this year.
I know.
Plus, we already gave 100,000 back.
So you're down 200,000.
So, when you look at our bottom line,
Well, I see the bottom line, I'm not happy
it
with
would,
the
it
bottom
would
line
have
either.
helped that bottom line. If we wouldn't have, but we've already done it,
There's other
so.
ways you probably can get rid of that, help that bottom line.
But, I mean, that's a lot of money. And I'm just thinking if we can capture that new property money, you know.
We get about 7,000 this, so you'll.
Well, that's just right now with the figures we were guessing, just, and that's not, that's only 400,000 in new property. Last year, we had 1.3 million in new property, and I think the year before it was like 5 million in new property.
Well, this truck stop will be,
Well, yeah.
The truck stop will be,
how many days?
She didn't even guess when I asked.
No,
what the new truck stop cost, 50 million?
Bev, I'm gonna go, I have to go pick up the kids.
That's fine, thank you.
So if you need me, call me.
Okay, thank you.
So if, you know,
Let's
let's,
say 20,000, for 20 million for a truck stop.
okay,
Sure.
20 million for the truck stop, a third of it is 7 million.
7 million increase.
It'd be a 7 million increase. And,
And we won't get that if we don't do truth in taxation? Or we go on next year?
no, if it goes on this coming year, you're going,
New property's only on when they put it
That's
on,
right.
so I don't know.
you're not going to capture the new, you know, we thought we were going to get money from the sales taxes.
Mhm.
We're not getting that much
Oh,
money
we're not.
apparently. But from property taxes, from Love's, we could get a significant amount.
So that's something
Okay.
that you need to keep in your mind.
When do we do this truth, how soon do we have to do this truth in taxation?
You would do that when you do your levy,
When you do your levy,
and you have to do that
Maybe about November, December.
you
before
usually,
December 1, but
you
probably
usually
October.
schedule, with schools, we scheduled it a half an hour in advance of the regular board.
I mean, at that, about November meeting, about when you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
But that's just a way to maybe get a little more, and when, whatever we get this year, see, then that's gonna be our base. For
We'll get
next
a little
year,
more this year, then we'll get a little more next year too then.
because your base is gonna be,
You're raising,
up.
we're raising the base a little, not 100,000 like per rule.
because we knocked that down, so we're starting,
You're starting, we knocked it down last year. And Roy's right, we're going to be increasing it, but you increase it with the new property. So your base, the base that you're under right now is going to be the same. What your EAV is and everything's going to be the same, so your base is going to be the same. All we're doing is trying to establish a larger county base by taxing the truck stop, the amount that,
But
The truck stop-
EAV should go up anyway with all the new property.
The truck stop and all the other.
But you're just trying to capture more of that
But with,
over the years.
with
no, because
P-TEL,
we're under P-TEL.
with
The-
P-TEL,
the
they give
EAV
you
is
that
gonna-
new
Can only
property.
go up X amount,
I know, it's still gonna go up though.
but not very
But
much.
is it capped because of P-TEL? The
P-TEL
amount of
caps you,
EVA?
that's why we only
Caps
can
taxes, right,
ask.
doesn't tap EAV.
No, it caps the, right, the tax, we can only go 4.99.
I know, what I'm saying is our EAV is gonna go up no matter what because of the new property anyway.
Yeah, the EAV will go up,
Should,
So, I mean,
should go up,
but,
oh, it should, I mean, it should.
but we won't be capturing all the,
but there's that new property,
yeah, we won't be able
Laws
to
or
capture the
whatever.
new property taxes if we don't ask.
I don't know, they have like a worksheet and to figure this limiting rate, and that's where you're that's where it's limiting you
I understand. I
and
mean,
tells you all you can
I
get.
see our EAV's already gonna go up anyway, so
But if you don't,
I know going after that or so,
if you don't go after that new property, you're losing out.
I know, but I mean, your EAV's gonna go up and every year the EAV's going up. So, okay, you know my opinion, so it doesn't really.
So maybe when it gets a little closer, we could have figures from McKinsey and be able to show you this
But you're
versus
gonna-
this.
Aren't you gonna need those figures in the budget though?
I would like to, before we approve the budget, know all that.
Because,
Yes, because that's what goes in this
Would-
general
at
fund.
the very last in this, you have how much we're going to be in the hole or whatever next
Come
year.
back and amend the budget afterwards, if you had, if the levy comes in different, just,
I would think you'd wanna do it all
I don't know, Just
at one time,
Well,
but.
That's the property tax line, so you think you might get that higher than the
Well, I would
609
like
is.
to be able to levy more, so that would increase that line,
Okay.
but
Okay, sales tax, they've got here an estimate of 220,000, that's the same as last year. Sales tax supplement, same as last year, 120,000. Pull tab games charge, they took that down this year.
so she took that to zero, so maybe we just haven't had those anymore. You know, maybe we don't do that
Well,
anymore.
that's been zero for quite a while.
What was that, last year's budget was in there, so, no, last year's actual, 17's actual was zero, so I guess that
Yeah.
took it down.
Yeah, we haven't had,
Video gaming is, he took it down from 10,000 down to 8,000, so I guess it come in quite as much as before.
doesn't look like it.
We only get it from what, the roadhouse?
And,
The Roadhouse.
Bikini
Yeah,
Mart.
that's it, I mean,
That's
or
not-
we have like a bunch of staff.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
much
We got
staff.
two
The
establishments.
towns get,
Yeah, towns get way more because they have staff.
They got a lot more video gaming out there, yeah, we don't have a whole lot. Okay, state income tax was 650,000 last year, and they took it down to 630. So, must not figure they're quite gonna make that. First property replacements up just a little, they figured, Joel has estimated this. County collector fees are down $2,000. Interest is up $10,000. They're paying more interest now, huh?
are we gonna get that personal property replacement? Because they've been talking, the state's gonna try to,
That's
Grab
probably
it.
one of those things you don't know yet.
I see.
You know, I think it was decreased last year, you know, from the previous year,
yeah.
so I don't know.
Okay, now we'll go to the expenses in the general fund.
Okay, on the audit, I guessed, I haven't got a quote yet from Nick, but we're pretty sure we'll have to have a single audit because of the guardrail money. And that's if you get over 750,000 from state or federal, then he'll have to do a single audit, and those are more expensive. So I bumped it to 30, I'm just guessing, guys, I don't know.
So we can do.
Good guess. Postage, stayed the same, copy machines, same, building maintenance.
We added that line because we knew our operations and expense was gonna go to zero.
Operation maintenance,
You know, because it was in a different, it was not in general fund last year.
okay,
So we added 19 in general fund because we knew we would be out of money.
okay.
So now, we didn't put anything there because she opened up a new general fund account that we've already went over.
Okay, okay. Okay, oh, that's that new budget we have for first year, okay.
Mhm.
Internet service stayed the same, notary bonds, miscellaneous expenses, computers, went down a little bit, 6,000.
I'm just guessing on computer expense. You know, we have certain things that we have to pay annually, but there's a little bit in there, so if we have to buy a new computer in any of these offices. I know Kenzie's getting a new server this year, because we have the funds in there, and we'll need a new server for our voting. Hopefully we'll get that done before the budget year's over, but that's something we have to upgrade.
Okay. Alrighty, now we're down to contingency fund, health insurance premium.
Okay.
Ooh,
Now, because Ben did not budget, I increased this, what I thought his reimbursement would be. So that's why it's up 40-some thousand.
So he didn't budget for that, so we gotta pay for it. You mean?
Well-
I mean,
He didn't budget 26,000, 46, or 46,000.
Well, but there's an increase, I'm just guessing on the
You did
increase.
He said 46?
You sure? 46, Kyle? That number?
That's the number here, that it increased.
I know, but I thought he said 26.
Yeah, he said 26.
Yeah, he said 26.
Let me find my little
I wrote it down, I
estimates.
thought, maybe I just missed.
Okay,
I may have been drinking.
we don't know how much our insurance is gonna go up yet, okay? So I just said, we have the $1,500 plan, I guessed at 9% increase, and we have the high deductible plan, I guessed at 6% increase. So I went through and did this, and when I took the highways reimbursement off, I come up with 199,000. So, that's where I come up with that
So
figure.
99 has the,
It does not
Okay.
have the highway, so if,
If you add the highway, it's gonna be
high.
225,000.
So Ben don't wanna pay the health insurance in the highway department, so we gotta pay out of the general fund. huh?
well, I
Well,
think he did that because you guys were willing to give him 100,000, so he thought he would decrease. Why give back the benefit money if you're gonna give him 100? So that's why, but he said he would put it back in
If
if we
wanted
needed it.
to.
Yeah,
Yes.
and if he doesn't put it back in, we're going to,
And then Sherry wants it if,
yeah.
Maybe we'll have Ben put it back in, don't you think?
I think we do.
We started.
So that 31% increase, is it just all of the,
well,
of the increase of what the plans were?
for that 47, that's
Yeah.
including Ben, so it would go down quite a bit.
So 47,500, that didn't include the bins.
If you take Ben off
If
there,
you
you're,
take 26, that would make it a 21.5 increase.
Okay, so I thought you said the 199,
No.
500 did not include it.
Not his money, you're right, it did not include his reimbursement. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
So I knew he
We
didn't
thought
put it
you
in
meant
his
it did not
budget.
include his bill.
No, no,
or
no, no,
his
no. So that could go down,
So that would go down,
26,
okay.
yes.
So that would go down to like 170.
Like
You guys
maybe,
have that, right?
yeah, about 173.3, 173.4, that's what I have here.
26,000.
There's a term on.
You said 173,500?
That's close enough, yeah.
That's what I got.
And that's, like I said, that's just guessing at a 9%, 6% increase, which, that's, you know, pretty consistent
Well,
with
it's
how it's
not,
been
yeah.
going.
In,
yeah. And it would also depend upon if another person's hired part-time between two. Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is the insurance would be,
And I will say, I did everybody that's on there as of now.
yeah.
So Terry Lane won't be there, so if somebody else gets hired, you know,
yeah.
That'd be a wash.
Might be
Right.
average.
you know. I just use the existing.
Okay. Then we move on down. Then the expenses are all the same. Let's go on down to the next page. Total resource officer.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is your social security money,
for the
okay, special
resource
restricted funds.
Wait a minute, where you at now?
Are you on page 65?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you're at?
Yeah, we're on the top, yeah,
Yeah.
social security.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Restricted fund, got you.
Yeah, we have to levy for these monies.
The
So it's
resource
restricted.
officer's gonna cost you $2,000. Okay.
That's a reimbursement. That's what I'm guessing, you know, if they work the full amount, full hours, 1,200 hours
Mm-hmm.
at the rate for Social Security and Medicare, that would be,
Okay.
okay? Now reimbursement from 911 is just netted out in the expense, because it's within us. Okay, so that's why you don't see that up above.
Okay.
So right now I put 100,000 in for the levy.
Or property tax?
That's what that is, that's for the levy. And I estimated the carryover of what would be in there as of November 30th. That's an estimate.
196,000.
So that's keeping, that's still got some money reserved in there, okay? I'm thinking by next year, November 30th of 19, if we keep it like that, we would have about 150,000 in there.
Mhm.
And like I said, that's levying 100,000. Just depends how much you want to keep in that reserve.
Well, you're taking it down.
I would take it down some, I won't take it down any more than that. And so I'm just comfortable with that number, 1,100,000.
I can do that.
Okay, then where?
Well, the next is IMRF, if you want to move to 66, page 66.
Okay. Just, Social Security county share.
Yeah, that's,
An expense.
that to me is that's the employer's portion. And,
Oh.
and I take that, and that would be less any reimbursements. I don't have bins in there, but that wouldn't amount to very much.
Okay. Now, IMRF.
Okay. Same thing, I've got property tax levy of 100,000, estimated carryover 268, personal property 9, and then the county share of 166. So that's gonna leave you, I'm guessing about 211,000 in there as of November 30th of 19. So there's some cushion there too.
All righty. And we're on to the next, okay?
Okay, unemployment. We've been levying 10,000 a year, we have about 100,000 in there. Do you wanna continue?
I say no.
No.
We
So
don't
we wanna get rid
spend
of
all
that
our
one?
borrowed money, and if we do, I think we're gonna finish for a couple of years. I would say don't levy anything for that.
Okay, so we're gonna zero that out. Then I can move that 10,000 up to the corporate line,
Okay.
okay?
Employment expenses, you mean?
Pardon me?
Or would you, were you putting in property tax liability?
Well, I would make that 0,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And, so instead of levying it there, I would put that in the corporate fund that I have. You don't have that sheet,
Okay.
but that's like in your
Top
general
line.
fund, property tax line,
Mm-hmm.
that's 609, and we could increase that to 619
Okay.
to help the general fund bottom line.
Then employment expense, 10,000, good enough.
Yeah, then
would be
that just
zero.
washes that account.
Yeah.
We can leave that expense there, so if, hopefully nobody has to get laid off. but-
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, then you got your liability insurance. Okay, so we're gonna get reimbursed from the school for liability, or, that's work comp, is what that is. Liability, we're just doing that, we're not worried about that. But that would be the work comp reimbursement at the rate they gave me, at like 7.73 or something like that. So then the next lines are the levy for, that's your insurance, property tax liability would cover your insurance liability, and then you got your work comp. And then that other line that's zero, that was where the bond went when we had our bond. So that's paid off, so that's zero. And so on the expenses, I think I have 106,500 on that liability insurance, but I think I need to make that 111,500, because I think I might have subtracted 911 twice when I was figuring that, their reimbursement, because they reimburse for work comp and liability insurance. And when I was guessing, I did a 5% increase from last year on liability insurance. And when I looked at it again, I think that does need to go to 111.5.
Which one?
Liability insurance premium on the bottom, 4207 is the account number.
111,000.
500.
Yeah, instead of 106.5, I think I need to change that to 111.5. Work comp, I kind of went through the salaries and took them to the rates that they charged us this year and kind of come up with a figure. I added that insurance deductible line, because we didn't have that on there. Insurance claims is if we have to pay above that, I guess. So,
We were gonna buy a carpet up there for $25. No.
oh,
Okay.
so that's what I come up with those figures. So, then the very last page, that's where you take all those general fund accounts and add them up.
And the big numbers.
So now what? So you gotta remember, 138.5 is the difference, that is your operations and maintenance, didn't have that before. And we're 100,000 less on general fund revenue because of decreasing our levy. So it's about 50,000. If you look at it that way, there's about 50,000 that we've increased it.
What do you mean increased?
Well, like a difference of the 286. You know, if you took off operations maintenance and the 100,000, like
Oh,
50,000, we would have been negative.
138, so that's 238, 240, from 286. It'd be 46, $50,000 negative.
So now what do we do?
That would look like.
But you're gonna have the operation maintenance anyway. Well,
But it wasn't in general fund.
It
It
was
was a
right.
separate account.
that's right, it was in a bond fund.
A different account,
Yeah,
so
different account.
we still had the same expenses, didn't
Right.
on the general fund.
We still had to spend it.
We had to
So
spend.
this will hit your
Hit the general fund.
Yep.
general fund line, which as of the end of July had 22,575,000 in it.
2,500,000. Yeah, we're gonna be hard on it this year, I got a feeling.
Yeah, you're gonna take, if you got 2,500,000, you're gonna take 10% out of it this year. Means you got 10 years. If you do that every year.
Chances are we will, huh? Operation maintenance will be there always. The sheriff's department raises 50,000 to buy that car, so he'll probably increase about that much every year. Or he'll need to keep it there.
Well, then we're gonna need the security cameras there too, one of these days.
Yeah. And we are, this Crown Circuit Clerk's office cost us 50,000 more this year than last year. Maybe, hopefully get that new equipment, maybe she won't need that big expense next year. Maybe she'll at least break even once. There where the biggest change was, the county clerk and recorder was $18,000 more than last year. So that's an $18,000, and the state's attorney wanted $35,000 more.
Because we decreased the incomes on them.
increase his income this year, I don't know how that's.
Same way with mine.
Is that same with yours for the income? Yeah, it's, big numbers,
It's
folks.
ugly.
Very bad.
I mean, you guys can
There's
vote for
only-
this budget.
There's only two ways to balance it, and that's one, cut a bunch, or increase revenues. There's only two ways that I know.
Only two ways to fix the problem, right?
Well, we could take a large insurance policy, life insurance policy right here.
Worry, we're dead man alive.
Well, yeah, but that's to your wife. I mean, the county could take one out.
It's for good cause, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good cause.
Your wife and us all.
You did it for the, you did it for the county.
Okay, guys, you might take a few dollars out of them, but not a whole lot.
Any ideas?
Why don't we think about it, talk about it later?
I think you can cut some places, so.
Got any good choices?
Well,
You
no,
want some?
I haven't gone through enough to go through $50,000 or anything, jeez. I mean, I don't like any of the part-time people or anything, I want so,
In which
that's not
office?
enough to,
In which office?
well, I'm not,
Assessor?
or the circuit clerk, one higher than me.
I would think too, she got what she got for a while.
If she wants to use her specialty funds, she can do that.
She ain't got any special funds left, has she?
I don't know if that's
She
told.
used them last year
Been
to
using her
help
the
us
last couple of years.
go down to zero.
She's got, she's out of specialty funds.
Yeah.
I was hoping Brenda was gonna help out in the assessor's office, and then she's in the treasurer's office now, but she won't be there very long, will she? 2
12
months?
weeks, what is 12 weeks?
12 weeks, 3 months.
Yeah, 10 weeks.
But I think what they're wanting is somebody to go out and deal.
They got Courtney going out there now with Dawn, and it's working good. They want Courtney in the office doing other stuff, which,
I thought that part-time person, because when we took it off last year, I wasn't at the board meeting. You guys put it back on, I thought it was just for temporary,
It was.
for that year, right?
I think I even said, why don't we put a date and say this is terminated, so that.
And now
way
you're just
doesn't
adding it,
turn
now
into
she
a
just said
permanent.
4 more years.
I think she was new and thought they could get it all done.
she had the impression they get this, all this assessing done, all the county assessed in about 2 years. You know, they've been running hard this year, and they're doing a good job, but now she says it's gonna take her 4 years to get it all done. I don't know, that's one place you want to cut, huh, Roy? I don't know.
That's where I wanted to go last year.
I know you did.
I will say in her defense, when Dad was in that position and they did the 4-year, it took Dick Tender like 4 years to reassess every property in the county.
There's a lot of properties out there driving
So,
around.
and
Two
that
people-
A lot of
that
buildings.
was how many years ago?
2 people in the car, you gotta have 2 people, I don't want her out there by herself.
Well, I don't want her by herself.
One person in the car, they gotta run 2 cars, that'd be a lot faster, I don't want that. So it's gonna cost us some money, but I want them 2 girls out there together. And you gotta assess it somehow, I don't know. I don't know any other way to do it. I talked to her today about it, you know, Tom Daters, he's on insurance.
She's wanting to add another person.
Yeah, because she wants
I know,
Courtney.
Courtney's staying there.
Yeah, she wants to add another, I don't like, yeah, I'd like to see, just,
I mean,
if she didn't add
it
another
seems like
person.
we're just keep adding people. We're not, we're not.
And every single department's losing.
She wanted $24,000, right, for a new person, part-time. What did we add when we do that amendment to her budget?
We was guessing
10,000.
8 to 10.
See, that $8,000 to $10,000 for this part-time person. If she could stay like that, I wouldn't mind putting 10,000 into part-time person.
To another part-time person?
Or
In the
just-
one we got. But that'd be in this
I'm saying
budget.
she's adding 2.
It'd have to be in this budget, Royce. In the budget, last year's
I
budget,
don't know, I'm
it
saying
was
is
not
this
in
year,
there.
this year, she's wanting to have 2 part-time people.
I know that's what she wants, so I'd like to talk her out of that.
I still don't know how that would work. You would have a full-time person if they split them and work in 5 days.
I agree.
Total, it's gonna be a
I don't
full-time.
think it can work.
I don't know how that would work.
I think they need to do 2 part-time people to do it. Keep that, that's my simplest. I don't know. They seem to think they got somebody to do that. Yeah, if I could talk McKinsey.
I want the
into
corner to
paying
go back
10,000.
to assistant salary, just coming out of his specialty fund, at 2,500. I don't see it.
Why does he need an assistant anyway?
When he's gone, I mean, I understand, but he's paying out
Yeah,
of,
but he's driving a school bus, he's got the coroner, an EMA, and he's driving the school bus. Maybe I'll come out with his own personal check.
You know, he probably gets calls at, who
That's
knows, all
what
hours
the-
of the night. And you know, sometimes you don't want that phone on you.
No, no.
You want somebody to,
Well, and you need somebody, you
You
need
need a
to
break.
be.
Oh, I understand, we need somebody there, and I don't mind the $2,500. He can pull that out of that specialty fund if they do so.
That'd be 2,500, we'd help a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I don't see why.
These are minimal.
Yeah,
things.
that's-
I have a list of minimal things, I don't have anything right now, unless we can somehow figure out how to get rid of a whole department, like the state's attorney. That's what I told him.
Well, that's like when you're looking at coroner and EMA. We're starting to contract things out of the health department more and more all the time. Is that something that we need to start looking at contracting out? Can we contract that out?
The corner or
or
the main?
you mean
Yeah.
EMA, I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying, because there's smaller departments is the reason why I'm picking those specifically, but
I don't see how you can contract that.
well, that's what,
Be awful hard.
Different county.
Well, I mean, you were able to do it with the engineers and everything else, we might as well look into see what we can do.
Right. like I said, I'm just throwing out,
But now, that
Yes.
coroner's an elected position.
Mhm.
well, that's
True.
it's true.
That one word. EMA, how many dollars is EMA?
9,000.
I mean,
Well,
it's
our
not a
revenue's
lot.
9,000, expenses are 17.
What's his salary as far as,
$9,000.
It'll be
I think-
98.34.
how much?
98.34.
98.34, which 10,000.
$10,000 salary. Plus a vehicle. You know. I don't know, guy, we're into it. I don't know. Like the jail salary, it went the jail sheriff went $50,000. But the car was in there for 35,000 and raises in salary. The raises after all them people come another 15,000 in salaries.
So he did say he would spend some of that money out of his vehicle fund and his DUI fund to pay for some of the car.
Yeah, I think we could maybe work him out of paying for park the car and then paying for park the car out of some of those specialty funds.
Well, I think he said, and
That's what he
Steve's been good at
No,
saving money, you know, he thought he might have enough money for just to buy it this year.
yeah, well, I mean,
I'm hoping he gets it bought this year with his own money. No, there's a good, I hope so.
Well, that would be nice if he, you know.
Yeah,
if he-
Steve's been pretty concerned, his budget gets pretty high, but when it's bottom line, you'll check if you're
When-
under budget by 50,000.
Yeah, whenever you look at
Been pretty
the
good.
audit,
The audit,
it's usually way below the budget.
yeah, that's what I like about Steve, so that's why you don't get too
Yeah.
shook about a budget, but yeah, you do too.
I think we got another thing we'll have to look at eventually, if he is no longer going to be sheriff, we will not have a maintenance supervisor unless Steve Maroon takes it over, and
I thought the sheriff was supposed to be in charge.
well, it
Under
could be,
statute.
but I know that Steve
so
is,
switch it over to the county chairman and
I like
not
that
pay
idea.
him for any of it.
I like that idea.
All you do is boss him around, don't you?
See, there you go, I think that's how it should go.
We need to look at the statutes on that, but I think, you know, the sheriff's supposed to be in charge of,
Maintenance
yes.
and
Okay,
security.
I didn't know whether
I
that was.
think there's something there,
Hopefully it
but I
says it
don't.
can go to the county chairman.
I don't see-
Hopefully Steve.
Or the
Steve
vice
doesn't
chairman.
get any extra money for that anyway, so.
Well, no, but
Hopefully
what I'm
Steve
saying
will.
is, whoever the new sheriff is, either, I can't think who the Democrats running against him is now,
Well,
but
that guy,
Daryl,
don't know much about it.
Daryl or Steve, if they don't know anything about maintenance, then we got a problem.
Well, we got a good maintenance plan.
but Jim knows what's going on.
You don't have to tell Jim very much.
No, you
Just
don't have-
just
you don't
tell
have
him-
to.
Tell him, well, you have to, the sheriff tells him what to do, because Steve, or Jim Moore don't do anything without his permission
Right.
from the boss. So basically, Steve Maroon just had to come in and tell him, we need this and this and this done, and let him go. So he don't have to spend a lot of time doing it, Steve Maroon wouldn't have to.
Okay, well,
That's
I'm
my
just
opinion
saying
right
that,
now.
I know Steve, well, Steve does a lot of work in our church, just, you know,
Steve Ozer,
Steve Oger from the handyman perspective.
oh, he does.
Installing, he's good at woodwork and
I don't
stuff
think
like
he does
that,
much
so that's,
maintenance work, he don't do no maintenance work, does he, but?
Not that I know of.
I doubt it, but you know, if you're good at doing that, you know how to do it.
Yeah, you know.
You can explain it, and
That's-
that's what I was kind of
Okay,
getting
yeah,
at.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I hope that won't be a problem.
And I did figure 3% on the maintenance salary is what, how.
Yeah, we need to pass a resolution the next board meeting too to put the increase of salaries for the animal control guy, Mark Howard, and Steve Sherwood for EMA, and Jim Morgan, those three, give them a 3% raise, all right? That's what's in the budget. That's what we've been at for years, and I'd like to keep it there.
Did we give the secretaries 3%?
I think so.
What secretaries?
Secretary we did,
When
but we didn't
we
give, yeah, 3 point,
negotiated last time,
3 point something.
3 or 4.
It's our department heads didn't get 3%. They might be complaining, they might want to strike, our department heads.
I need a job.
I see it, we're about 10% over budget.
10%. Thank you very much. 10% of nothing is still nothing, right?
Worst case scenario, we just might have to say, find 10%. Leave it to the department heads.
I think we're just gonna have to, we're 10% over budget, how you?
Well, I may have figured it wrong. My calculator's only half.
286,000.
You want a bigger one?
2,580,000, 2.5 million in expenses. So that'd be.
That's 10%, 286,000 is 10%.
That's about 11%, 10, 11%.
I was guesstimating.
Yeah, it's 10%.
What do you think, tell everybody, I'll find 2%? Or whatever, 1%.
And then cut what's easy,
Whatever they wanna
and then
cut.
figure out how much more percentage we're willing to, we have to cut, and then just leave it up to the department heads. Just ask nicely, cut your budget by 5, 8, whatever percent. And that way they have control over it, and they can fiddle with things here and there, and, because the bad part of it is, it seems like, and maybe there's one that hasn't, besides maybe Mark's, every department is losing money, is bleeding money. And I'm not blaming anybody for it, I think it's just the fact of life, but.
Because we're not like a fee-based,
Exactly.
but we're not a business.
Right, you're not a business, you're not made to make
So we
money
don't
anyway.
have the
Incentive.
income.
Well, you don't have a way to make income.
No.
I mean, unless
You
you
don't
somehow
have
solicit Steve
a few
over to
ways.
write more tickets. You know, Rhonda's not gonna be able to collect more money, and that's, so it's not like a business where you can just go make, well, not exactly in a business, you can go make more money anyway.
What about the
but-
treasury department? They have no income whatsoever, can they cut expenses?
Well, I'm sure everyone can find something to cut. I mean, but if it was my department, I would much rather have control over that 8% to cut personally than the county board telling me, I think you should cut this line item. But anyway, that's my sense for what it's worth.
I agree, give them a chance to see if they can figure something. And if they can't,
Then what?
then we,
Then
then we
gotta
become
go
the new
through and-
people, which I'm okay with.
You gotta cut them all the same amount then, or what?
Just
I think that's
yeah,
fair.
say, hey,
Okay, now, elections, guys, you have to
Well,
give me
there's
money
obviously
for
some-
elections.
yeah. There's obviously
I
some
can't,
things you
that's a
can't cut.
state, that's statute.
Yeah, there's some things I know we can't cut, it's just part of life, but
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
that gives you guys a chance to look at it, so, I mean, see if there's anywhere before we become, I mean, that's one way.
That's what I said, there's only 2 ways to get down there.
How low do you want it?
Well, you don't want my idea on that. I want low, but that's different, totally different.
What number would you be satisfied?
I would want to wash, but that's what I mean, I want to even budget.
You want
I
zero
don't
budget?
think we're gonna be able to get a wash.
So, I want them to just look, see what they can do.
Well, first of all,
And you don't-
wait a minute, first of all, you stuck $138,000 out of operation maintenance in there, which
I know.
was never in before.
I don't know.
And you took $100,000 for tax dollars for levy. We give abatements. You
Well,
take
you
those
actually-
2 out of there, then we could probably need a zero budget after that.
you actually gave more because by taking the 100,000, you lowered your base. So, you know, you're talking 125,000 or so.
And last year, we took a car out of the sheriff's department, you can only do that once in a while. If he would've took the car out, well,
And you don't want them to lay off because then there goes your unemployment money.
If you start, I think Kansas is a very good example of what happens when you just go in and start cutting everything. If you look at the state of Kansas, that's basically what they did. They went in and cut everything. Their teachers had to go on strike. The Supreme Court said you will pay them. They gave all these tax breaks and everything else to the wealthy people, and now they are one of the worst off states in the union.
We're in the worst state, it doesn't matter.
What's that?
We're one of the worst, it doesn't.
Actually, you should have gone to the meeting up north, because that old accountant that gave us thing on the last day said there's an easy way to get out of this state to get out of there.
You from Chicago?
how's that?
I don't remember exactly where he was from.
Cause they've been talking about easy ways to
Probably.
for years.
What was the simple answer?
His simple answer, and it makes sense. They had borrowed, the state had borrowed from the retirement funds and everything for so long, they're paying like 11% on interest per year for everything that they borrowed. He said all you have to do is sell bonds at 5%. You have a 7% difference, and that 7%, if you use that 7%, if you're not a Chicago Democrat or whatever, if you use that 7% to pay off the bond and the interest, because the interest is only 5%, and if you use that 7% difference all the way through, you can have it paid off.
You still owe your bonds though, wouldn't you?
You see, you owe the bonds at property tax value, right? Property tax pay the bonds off. So how much does
No.
your property tax go up?
No. You're paying 12% right now. You're using that 12% to pay, you bond out at 5%. That gives you a 7% difference. So you can use 5% of that money to pay the interest of the 7%. That gives you 2% to pay down on your principal all the time.
Yeah, they took a long time to pay it off, and 2% at a time.
It's a long time, but it gets paid off.
Take forever.
The way it's going, they showed a graph, it's going just like that right
The
now.
spending keeps going like that with the state, so they'd have to cut the spending.
They'd have to hold spending.
You get the whole thing.
More to their debt,
Yeah.
which they can't.
Mhm. But, you know, and that's the other thing we have to think about too, is what's our inflationary stuff going to be, kind of like the insurance, you know, it's gonna go up every year.
Our salaries go up every year.
Those cars that, you know, Steve ought to buy a car right now, or as quick as he can, because steel imports is 25%. That's going to increase the cost of the squad car by at least 20%.
Yeah, inflation's over here again.
So, you know, it's good to be able to say, hey, we don't need a squad car right now, but if you wait, you're gonna pay 20% more of it. So where's the line of no return on doing the skipping?
I don't know, I don't think the sheriff's department's too bad, because we didn't give him a car last year, and if somebody, you bought last year, you wouldn't even this year, that'd put him down about the same as last year, so.
Well, I'd get a hold of him if he can do it off this year's and buy one, get it, because it's not gonna be any cheaper.
As far as the others, who all went, our state's attorney, that might be a temporary thing, and the circuit clerks, that's a big increase, I don't know. Of course, you got all the new equipment, each side takes.
She's got all the new equipment and training.
I don't know.
The,
On my
It-
part-time
it's-
help, you might cut the
You
assessors
can-
down 10,000 on, that's part-time help. Just give 10,000 for part-time help, so 24.
well, once again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If the quicker you get all that new property on the tax bills, the more dollars that you're gonna be able to generate. So if these gals, and let's just say that they generated 400,000, was it 400,000?
Right now, new property was 477,000.
Let's say that they generated half of that 477,000 on new property, which would be 200,000. You'd be paying a part-time person, maybe even a full-time person with the taxes on that new property.
You know, she wants another part-time person, but she planning to run just one car.
Yeah, yeah.
I was hoping to have good like she is, and bring her their part-time help. I don't know, guys. Well, that's it for tonight, I guess. I don't think. We're a long way from zero budget. I don't know.
Do you want me to send out any kind of message to them?
To the,
To
everybody.
the department heads and
I
to,
don't know the way, if there's any way they can cut, that's all I'd say.
I have no problem with it. And, you know, if there's a way to cut, but
Yeah, they do that.
I don't think that you're gonna get $286,000 worth of cuts.
I don't think we're gonna get all that in 20
If you get $50,000 worth of cuts, I
And
think
I'd
you'll
go
be
for it. If I get 50,000, I'd say that's good enough. That's good.
fine. If you get 50,000, that's only 230,000.
general fund department heads probably. I mean, the highway's their own money, the health department's their own money,
Yeah, that's
you
the other problem, because you've got all these departments that's running autonomously. 911's not gonna have to cut anything. The health department's not gonna have to cut anything.
Could we get any money from 911 for dispatch, any more money?
That'd be one thing we could do. They used to
Maybe
pay us.
after this year, but not.
Not
No,
19?
they're paying for their new 911 system this year.
They used to pay a lot of dispatch salary.
Yeah, they did.
Back when I was on that board, they was paying like 20,000-30,000, and they cut, Donna Whittick would cut it down a little bit, next year she cut down more. No, we can't afford it, we can't afford it.
Well,
Whatever.
I think that they'll be in better shape next year, but with this new 911 coming in, I think they probably need to.
Need all their money right now. They got a bit of money reserves, don't they?
They're sitting on about 500,000
That's
or
right,
600,000.
500,000. So they've got 300,000 reserves.
Oh, they're at 684 right now, but I don't know how much they gotta spend on that new
Yeah.
system.
Well, they put
300?
200,000.
300,000 on that or
So
something.
they still have 300,000 reserves. We want their reserves. They say, you got your own damn money.
I mean, because they did used to give a lot for dispatch.
Yeah, they did.
So,
And, you know, I can push them next year after this is over, but even if they increase their payment by 25,000, that's not gonna do diddly squat right there.
Not really.
everybody knows.
Well, that's the only comments I got for today, I guess. We got through pretty quick till
Yeah,
shut
I'm mad.
them down. We was moving right along there for a while.
Till we got to all the bad news.
Until we got to the bad news,
So how we leave it at all? Send out a message, see if they can make any cuts,
see if they have any cuts that they can make.
I
and
know their
then,
answer.
Oh, well, I do too.
so do we wanna get together again? Do we wanna wait?
Well, before you guys leave, do you wanna ask them for a certain amount of cuts, or?
Let's say let it on their own first.
I'll give it Sit it down, let it take around.
And maybe at the board meeting, we can kind of come up with another time to meet at
Yeah.
Tuesday's board meeting.
Yeah, we got a couple of checks, we'll get this done.
Right, but I would like to get it
I'd like to,
passed before November 30th.
November 30th.
Maybe, we'll see.
we'll see y'all.
That's about where we
We'll
was
see if
the
it
last
gets done by
time.
then.
The time we have to vote on this to get it passed.
Once, I hope.
Take it easy.